The pirate journey of Arceus. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 26. What if he has Murloc blood? More treasures were hidden by him in places only he knew. He also knew that there were few people under his command who could confide in him. They all had their own ambitions. As long as they lost their suppression, this ambition would inevitably burst out. It took John 5 years to find the clue to Rock's treasure. He went to Hatchiness to search for a crucial clue. That's all Prilt knew. He only knew that John got a clue because John explained to him a lot of knowledge that he only knew in order to make Prilt disguise himself better. Prilt copied his own abilities. Ordinary pirates were not his opponents. The powerful monsters were basically in the New World. It would take a lot of time to return to the South China Sea from the New World, even if they could fly. Moreover, ordinary pirates would inevitably be afraid of the consequences and would not go to war with him directly. It would be a good thing for him to be led by Prilt. Only those who were on Rock's ship at the time could find this drawback, but those people were in the New World, and there were people around him. He never thought that there would be an anomaly like Kaido who happened to be in the South China Sea. Well, the information is almost the same. Quinn, get rid of him. Wait, I didn't lie. I told you everything. Why do you have to do this? Didn't I say you would let me go? When did you have this hallucination? Even when Jin tortured you, he didn't say this. Kaido said disdainfully. Although there was a door between them, this kind of door could not block the hearing enhanced by the observation haki. Wait, I can be your undercover. Forget it. You are not trustworthy at all, and you are too weak. I'm not interested in people like you, Quinn. Throw him into the sea. Sinking into the sea is basically a death sentence for the fruit ability user. Ordinary people have to tie a stone to bind their hands and feet when they sink into the sea, but for the ability user, even this step can be skipped directly. After sinking into the sea, they will automatically enter a weak state and will not be able to swim. However, when Quinn was about to throw him into the sea, he happened to meet Arceus, who was going to check on the situation. What are you going to do? He's useless now. All the information we know has been leaked. Brother Kaido asked me to get rid of him. So you're just going to throw him into the sea? Ah, he's a person with special abilities. Isn't that simple? How could you do that? Arceus' words gave Prilt a glimmer of hope, but Arceus' next words shattered his hope. What if he has fishman blood and can breathe underwater? What if he happens to be swallowed by a big fish and then caught by someone? Since you're going to get rid of him, you should get rid of him cleanly and make sure he's dead before throwing him down. Silencing someone without finishing him off is a big taboo, not to mention that this person is a veteran traitor. What happened on Kachara Island is inconsistent with his values. He is not interested in Prilt's life or death at all. He just wants Quinn to do it cleanly. The result did not change, but some steps were added, such as chopping off the head before throwing it into the sea. After that, Arceus also went to look at the few fruits in the kitchen. After the death of the fruit ability user, the fruit will be randomly reborn in a corner of the world. If the luck is good, then the fruit is likely to be reborn nearby. Maybe he can also get a randomly generated magical backpack, but it turns out that no one on the ship has such luck. The fruit is still the same as before, but looking at these fruits, Arceus suddenly had a question. Just at this time, Quinn came over and picked up an apple. In order to make more delicious bananas in a while, he increased his intake of fruits. Quinn, the devil fruit will randomly possess other fruits, right? That's right. Is there any problem? You said that if a person with ability eats a fruit and the fruit happens to mutate, he accidentally bites it and the juice flows into his mouth, what will happen? It's no secret that eating 2 devil fruits will make people explode, and it's no secret that the fruit will be randomly reborn. But when these two things are put together, it's a bit scary. Although the probability is slim, it is not impossible. Looking at the fruit in his hand, Quinn suddenly hesitated. Then he took a knife and cut the fruit first. Even if the fruit was reborn, it would only be reborn in a complete fruit, so it was safe. From then on, even if Quinn ate grapes, he had to cut the grapes and never ate a whole bunch of them directly. Now they have a direction to sail, but a new problem has arisen. The life card can indicate the direction and even show the owner's life status, but it can't show the distance. They don't know how long it will take to find John. Brill just said that John is now in the first half of the Grand Line, and John didn't tell him the specific location. But after all, there is a direction, and the patrol ship continues to sail towards the Grand Line. 2 days later, the team sent by the Navy headquarters completely blocked the waters near Kajara Island and gradually reduced the encirclement. The reason for wasting so much time is to expand this encirclement. These pirates gathered together and had no power to fight back against the elite fleet of the headquarters. They were completely wiped out in a very short time. Because of Kaido's domineering color at the time, most people didn't know what happened. A few people couldn't explain the situation clearly. They only saw a giant dragon, and the culprit John was nowhere to be found. However, the news from the Navy was that the Navy won a great victory and John fled. Today, when the Navy's face was challenged, they must have a message of victory. A large number of pirates were escorted to various prisons. Many pirates here did not even have the qualifications to enter Impelton. Today, Zephyr is still the no-kill general. In the end, it was Kaido who caused the greatest damage to these pirates. Spandine was the first to know the news, and Prilt's loss of contact made him think that the other party ran away with John. Under his operation, a group of agents began to look for the other party's traces. At this time, Arceus and his party were staying near an island. Quinn dismantled the original boat and modified the Navy's patrol ship. They were about to reach the doldrums. It was impossible to sail in the doldrums by sail, so he was adding new power devices such as outer wheels to the ship. Arceus looked at the vast sea area of the doldrums, where there was a feeling that made him throbbing, and it was still moving. Chapter 27 Kaido, I'm not good at swimming. There was nothing else that could make him feel this way except the slate, but at this moment, his emotions were mixed with anger, because the breath he sensed was moving. That is, something had stolen his slate. His control over the slate had a range, and now the slate appeared within his perception range, but it was not yet within his control range. Kaido, get up and work. What's wrong? I feel the breath of the slate. It's on the sea, and that guy is wandering in the nearby sea. Kaido, who had fully opened his observation haki, did not detect any breath. His observation haki did not focus on the range, and the perception range could only be said to be average. At this time, he had a new understanding of Arceus's perception. However, this did not affect his actions. He turned into a giant dragon and took Arceus straight into the sky, flying in the direction indicated by Arceus. Shaina and the others had not even figured out what was going on. Kaido and Arceus had long disappeared, and Quinn was still busy modifying the ship, and the power unit was about to be installed. His need for a younger brother is now higher than Kaido's, and he urgently needs someone of lower status than himself to do odd jobs. He couldn't order anyone around on the ship, and due to technical problems, he was also the ship's doctor, shipwright, helmsman, researcher, fighter, handyman, and musician. Only Shaina took over the kitchen. At first, the kitchen was under Quinn's control, but he was a pure sweet party, and the large amount of rice cake and red bean soup was so sweet that people were sick, so he was replaced by Shaina. Shaina and Jin were installing the outer wheel outside the ship, and heard Arceus' voice and saw Kaido taking off directly. We are still too weak. If Jin's psychology was slightly distorted, so he would vent his emotions through torture, then Shaina was better than him, but the object of her pressure was herself. Weakness is original sin. This is her new cognition. As long as she is strong enough, she will not only be able to escape, but also pull down all the guys sitting on the throne. But now she is too weak, so weak that she can't help Arceus more, and can only watch them do it themselves. We will become stronger. We have time, and we have the support of the Holy Beast. When the Holy Beast was not hatched, it could bring strength to the tribesmen, let alone today. That's because of the Holy Beast's stone tablet. Where is the stone tablet we lost that year? The stone tablet was lost when we were born, but if I remember correctly, Brother Avanesis said that the stone tablet was not lost, but was hidden on an island. But all the people who knew about it died. I only know that it seems to be an island with a lot of gold. Yes, but Brother Avanesis also heard about the island with a lot of gold from Grandpa. This range is too large. Due to the reasons of the world government, they have no fixed place to live. The escape track of the Lunaria tribe in those days was all over the four seas and the Grand Line. No place was safe, and transfer was the most common thing. The most peculiar thing about the Grand Line is the changeable climate and island culture. The previous island may be a future island with advanced technology, and the next island may be an ancient island full of dinosaurs. The changes of spring, summer, autumn and winter are even more irregular, and there is a lot of gold. What is this more relative to? It is also a question. Let's transform the ship first. Finding that John is the most important thing. Yes. The two lifted the huge outer wheel and began to reinforce the outer periphery of the hull. At this time, Kaido was also flying around in the sea area of the doldrums under the guidance of Arceus. East, about 2 kilometers. No, that guy turned and is now in the south. Bastard, he ran to the north again. Don't let me catch this damn thief. The target he was chasing had been running around aimlessly, and the speed was not slow. Kaido chased for a long time before catching up, but the target still did not stop. After a while of chasing, the thing stopped, and Arceus and Kaido also came to the top of the thing. The sky had completely darkened, and the sea surface of the doldrums was even darker. When Kaido lowered the altitude, the sea surface was still empty. You didn't sense it wrongly, did you? Impossible. It's right down here, but it's underwater. Underwater. This is the doldrums, and the only place below is the doldrums nest. Could the thing you're looking for have been eaten by the Sea Kings? The unique product of this sea, the Sea Kings, are supergiant monsters under the sea. Tens of meters are common, and super large Sea Kings of thousands of meters also exist. They have huge bodies and they are not low in wisdom. The ability of Poseidon, the Sea King among the 3 ancient weapons, is to control these super large Sea Kings. Although for the strong, the Sea Kings are not difficult to deal with, and their huge bodies are just a target. But for ordinary people and fleets, these Sea Kings can bring devastating disasters. Super large Sea Kings can even feed on islands directly and swallow up an entire island directly. And it's true that those people are not afraid of Sea Kings, provided that the Sea Kings float to the surface of the sea by themselves. In the deep sea, no one dares to be an enemy of super large Sea Kings. The ships they are proud of are just toys in the eyes of the giant beasts. Not everyone has Jack's courage and dares to attack the enemy, even when he is in a huge size. In 5 years, with the blessing of the mythical beast fruit, Kaido has become much stronger than when he was a trainee on Rock's ship, but he still has a clear understanding of himself. Although his vitality is extremely tenacious, the sea is his forbidden area. As a person with abilities, he still has no way to deal with it if he sinks to the bottom. If the Sea Kings keep hiding in their nests, he has no way to deal with it. It doesn't matter, this thing has entered my control range. Let's land from there first. There is only no wind in the calm belt, not that there are no islands. Some islands in the calm belt are rich in resources, but it is extremely dangerous to enter and exit. There are always more solutions than difficulties. The 9 Snake Island can enter and exit the calm belt with the help of the highly poisonous snakes. But the island where Kaido landed now has no one living. It is just an ordinary deserted island. Entering his control range, Arceus began to call his slate back to its place. The depth of the sea is not uniform. The seabed is uneven. There is the Fishman Island located at a depth of 10,000 meters, and there are also sea areas that touch the bottom at a depth of 1,000 meters. At this time, about 3,000 meters below, the seawater began to become turbid, and something was floating up. In the dim deep sea, a bright golden light also lit up. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 28, The Gun of Elbaf and the New Slate. The light gradually enlarged, and the entire deep sea was illuminated by this golden light. It seemed that a new sun appeared on the seabed. As the vision gradually became clear, the figure of this giant beast was fully revealed. It was a super large Sea King of the anglerfish type. The light was not the sun, but the bait on the head of the anglerfish. One of the nicknames of anglerfish is lanternfish, which is because of the lantern-like hunting tool on the head. In the deep sea, they can use the small lantern on their heads to attract phototactic creatures. They are the fishermen in the depths of the sea. It's just that the size of this anglerfish is a bit too big, and the size of some islands is not as big as its body. Sea kings can be of any kind. Even if they have the head of a giraffe or a rhino, it's not strange. Sea kings of the anglerfish type are already normal. The reason why it floated up was because of a pain in the body. The straight line between 2 points is the shortest. Arceus' way of moving the stone slab is to let the stone slab fly directly to him. He didn't know where the stone slab was, and it might be stuck by something during the flight. For example, the stone slab is now stuck on the stomach wall of this sea king, and it is still forcing itself to fly upwards. Although the 3-meter long stone slab is not even a toothpick for this sea king, the stinging pain from the stomach wall still makes it irritable. Floating up will reduce this pain, so it also starts to swim upwards under the guidance of the stone slab. The IQ of sea kings is indeed much higher than that of ordinary sea beasts. It can be said to be smart, but this is only from the perspective of sea beasts. Kaido, that thing is coming out. Get ready. Ah, I saw it, and I just happened to have a move to deal with the big guy. Even if Arceus didn't say it, the rolling sea surface and the bright light in the deep sea have already entered Kaido's field of vision. The huge sea king surfaced from the sea, and the light emitted by the lure on its head even covered the light of the moon. Even in the night, you can see its red skin, and at this position, Arceus' control over his stone slab is even stronger. Under the guidance of Arceus, the stone slab broke out of the giant anglerfish's body. Although the size of the wound was only about the size of a pinhole for this giant sea king, it could be healed quickly with the self-healing speed of sea kings. However, the stone slab that drilled out of the body also made it feel severe pain. After being summoned, the stone slab burst into a more dazzling light, which cleared the dirt on its body surface, and then flew to Arceus, and merged into his body. The traces left by the stone slab in the night sky were also captured by the giant sea king. Its wisdom told it that its pain was inseparable from the two little things in front of it. A terrifying roar came from the anglerfish. It just looked like an anglerfish, but its body structure had long been very different from that of an anglerfish. They were sea monsters, not fish. The huge mouth opened, and the sharp fangs were the same size as the patrol ship they had taken before. Judging from the extent of the mouth opening, it wanted to swallow the island they were on in one gulp. Isn't this guy a bit too big? Kaido couldn't help but sigh at the size of this thing, and then he spread his legs and raised his mace towards the anglerfish. Just try this move, the move of the giants. The muscles in his arms bulged, and he swung the mace down heavily, and then a huge shockwave swung out from his hand. The spear of Elbaf, we go. Elbaf, the kingdom where the giants live, is born with a huge body. They are very powerful, even if they don't exercise much, and almost every giant is a natural warrior. The spear of Elbaf is a move of the giants. Outsiders usually don't know the skills of the giants. Kaido is not familiar with the giants, but he is very familiar with Big Mom. Big Mom not only gave him the mythical beast species of the fish fruit, but also taught Kaido this very powerful skill. The giants also have a combined attack skill. The Tyrant Kingdom released by the Blue Demon Turi and the Red Demon Broccoli can directly penetrate an island-eating monster, which is a giant seeking like this anglerfish. Kaido can also join hands with Big Mom to release the Sea Tyrant. As a prerequisite for the joint attack, the single release of the We Go is a foundation, so Kaido has mastered the moves of this giant. Whether it is moves or abilities, Big Mom has given Kaido a lot of help. With Big Mom's personality, the two of them might really have an affair. However, Kaido has not reached his peak at this time, and it is the We Go that he released himself, so the power is inevitably a little insufficient, and he cannot directly destroy this seeking like the joint attack of the giants. It just opened a big hole in the body of this anglerfish, but in terms of the vitality of the seeking, this thing is still alive. And it also understands that these little things in front of it are very dangerous, and even have the ability to kill itself. The huge body began to sink. This anglerfish wanted to escape from this dangerous environment, but its huge body caused it to sink very slowly, and it took a long time to dive back into the water. During this gap, it was attacked by Arceus' destructive death ray again, and another penetrating wound appeared on its huge body. Amid the wailing, a lot of things were spit out from its big mouth, which was comparable to the size of an island. Even fragments of the island could be seen, and blood gushed out from the holes in its body. It seemed that it did not eat the stone slab, but when it was eating an island, it happened to swallow the stone slab that fell on the island. The light above its head was still bright, but this huge anglerfish had sunk into the deep sea. The stone slab was completely integrated into its body, and the lost power returned again. However, Kaido noticed a change from Arceus. When he just absorbed the stone slab, a dark and ferocious aura came from him. Although it has now dissipated, Kaido is sure that there is nothing wrong with his perception. That breath just now. It's part of my power. Although it's not what I want most now, it's still pretty good. What he wants most is psychic power. In reality, psychic power is widely used. Whether it's changing form or telekinesis, it's very practical. However, the stone tablet in the body of this anglerfish is the evil looking stone tablet of the evil system, so Kaido can detect that kind of fierce breath. Strength returns to 3/18. Every additional stone tablet means that he has mastered a series of skills. The practicality of evil type skills is also not low, but it is not as convenient as psychic type skills in life. With the stone tablet in hand, Kaido and Arceus returned to the original island. At this time, there was a running lizard on the sea. Chapter 29 Girl, you are so brave. On an unknown island, Kaido drank up the little alcohol left in the patrol ship. He was also very happy that Arceus found the slate. He liked to drink when he was happy, and it was easy to black out when he drank. But to be honest, whether Kaido was drunk or not did not depend on the amount of wine, but on whether he wanted to get drunk. If he didn't want to get drunk, it would be very difficult to completely paralyze his nerves with alcohol. If he wanted to get drunk, then drinking a little would be enough. Now was the time for Kaido to experience the feeling of being drunk. The creatures living on the island were in trouble at this time. The island environment formed a closed-loop food chain, but the creatures that were originally at the top of the food chain had become food at this time. Roasting is the most primitive cooking method of humans. With the right heat and sufficient seasoning, the roasted food would not taste too bad. Common sense of outdoor accommodation had nothing to do with them, except that they had to be careful not to accidentally burn the entire island. The danger had nothing to do with them. It was quiet in the night, with only the occasional burning and crackling sound of firewood. At this time, a figure on the sea was approaching the island quickly. It is not swimming or flying, but running completely on its legs. It has a green body, and is more than 1 person tall. It looks like a combination of a snake and a lizard. It has a long neck and moves upright, which makes it somewhat similar to a dinosaur. It has wide webbed feet and a long tail behind it to keep its balance, which is why it can run fast on the sea. This is a kind of basilisk lizard, and it is a strange creature that should have been extinct long ago. However, it has a simple saddle on its back, and a little girl is sitting on it. It has long golden hair, a purple skirt, and a simple red hairband on its head. The Sea King occasionally swallows a lot of things, which is the source of her supplies. Elizabeth, go to the light. I smell the aroma of food. It's the smell of meat. I don't know how long I haven't eaten meat. As she spoke, her mouth was already drooling, and the lizard called Elizabeth was the same. This lizard has a gentle personality, is easy to tame, has a long lifespan, and is omnivorous, but its own combat power is weak. On weekdays, it mostly eats vegetarian food or catches some small animals. But there were no small birds or anything like that in the place where it lived before, because it lived in the stomach of the giant anglerfish. It was no joke that the super large Sea King swallowed the island. The giant anglerfish had 3 stomachs in its body, each with an island, and this girl was the survivor on an island. The previous attack by Arceus and Kaido pierced the stomach of the Sea King, and it vomited a lot of things. She and the lizard took this opportunity to escape from it. Because Elizabeth could run on the water and had strong durability, they successfully left the doldrums. The basilisk lizard made very little noise when running on the sea, and the Sea Kings living below did not notice it at all. Or the awakened Sea Kings went to besiege the severely injured anglerfish Sea King. After running on the sea for a long time, 1 person and 1 lizard accidentally ran to the island where Kaido and his group stayed temporarily, and were then attracted by the fire and the faint smell of meat. At the edge of the island, the girl and the lizard thought that no one had discovered them. However, when they just came up, Jin, who was on guard on the boat, discovered them. He wanted to catch the little guy directly, but was stopped by Shaina, who came to take over the shift. "Why are you stopping me?" Jin asked in a low voice on the boat. The girl who was crawling below didn't notice that the two people on the boat behind her were already staring at her. Most people don't sleep on the boat after the ship docks. No matter how well the boat is repaired, it will shake slightly under the waves. For people sailing, being able to rest on land is a rare and stable place. For people on the sea, this is basically a tacit common sense, and she is just a child of a few years old, and she has never thought about so many things. She seems to be going for the remaining barbecue. Let her go. It's not good to be hungry. Only by experiencing that feeling can you know how painful it is, which cannot be expressed in words. The Lunaria people are tenacious, but that doesn't mean they won't be hungry. They just have a stronger endurance. Their life on the run and in the laboratory have made them experience almost all kinds of suffering. Looking at the young girl, Shaina felt a little sympathetic, but sympathy aside, she still put away the flames, spread her wings and flew over. "You continue to keep watch. I'll go see what she wants to do. She will help those she wants to help as much as she can, and will not hesitate to break the other person's neck when she finds a problem." Arceus is not here now. He is using some beasts on the island to experiment with the specific effects of skills, such as the evil provocation. Some skills have effects similar to the rule-based abilities in reality, which are very unsolvable. For example, provocation will make the opponent angry in the game, and the opponent can only use skills that inflict damage within 3 rounds. But reality is not a turn-based game, and the effects of provocation are more diverse. At this time, he let some beasts start fighting each other. When we find the green slate with grass attributes, we should try to make a grass knot. If it's Oz's size, I don't know what effect it will have. The higher the weight, the higher the damage of the grass knot. However, the principle of this skill is to trip the opponent. The giants should not fall down and faint, probably. Practice is the only criterion for testing truth. Without specific practice, he is not sure about the specific effect. For example, the effect of provocation is far beyond expectations. On the other side, the little girl and Elizabeth touched the remaining barbecue. They had eaten their stomachs. The stomach tolerance of people in this world is obviously higher than that of ordinary people, and there are also many people with big hearts. For example, Kaido was sleeping soundly on the side. One of them continued to sleep with a big heart, and the other dared to continue eating with a big heart. "Are you full? Who is full?" Faced with this sudden question, the little girl hesitated for 3 seconds, and then suddenly felt something was wrong, and Quinn, who was out looking for a midnight snack, happened to be here. In order to transform the power device as soon as possible, he had been transforming the ship before. Now that the work is done, he wants to find something to eat. Shaina originally wanted to let her eat and leave quickly, but her appearance and the sudden appearance of Quinn seemed to scare her, so she did something unimaginable. She hijacked Kaido, who was still sleeping. Chapter 30, Kaido's Awakening Heart of the Kindergarten Principal. She took out an antique knife from her waist, and then rolled over to Kaido. "Don't come over here. If you come over here, I will kill this guy." Shaina's expression twitched a few times, and Quinn dropped his cigar in shock. They didn't know what to say for a moment. If Morgans was here, there might be headlines in tomorrow's news. With his tendency to exaggerate, it is likely that a similar headline would be born. "Mysterious little girl, rising star of the new era. Kaido was kidnapped." The size difference is huge, and her action of holding the knife across Kaido's neck seems a bit funny in this gap. Neither Quinn nor Shaina took it seriously. This kind of knife can't even pierce Kaido's skin. It's the same even when he's sleeping. "Aren't you and that pervert Jin on night watch? How did she get here? She's just a little thief who stole food. I'm watching her. How can such a little girl be in danger?" "So now? Who do you think is dangerous?" Quinn picked up his cigar and threw it out again. The scene was too shocking. He held the cigar upside down and burned his mouth. Shaina was right. In this case, it was not Kaido who was dangerous. This was a monster known as the strongest creature. Even the guillotine could not hurt him, let alone this small dagger. And this was also what shocked Quinn. Although not everyone could recognize Kaido's identity, even if he looked at his size, He was not a good target. How could this kid have such courage? Hey, don't ignore me. I'll really do it. Huh? What's going on? I've grown taller. She was waving the dagger in her hand at Quinn and Shaina, but suddenly felt that she had grown a lot taller. Of course, she would not grow taller out of thin air, but Kaido woke up. Kaido, who sat up, picked her up directly, which was why she felt that she had grown taller. Little devil, do you want to kidnap me? That's right, brother Kaido, this little girl actually took you as a hostage. Why don't you just kill her? Among them, Quinn was the one who cared least about the lives of outsiders, and the life of a little devil didn't matter to him at all. And these words also scared the little girl. She waved the dagger in her hand randomly and stabbed Kaido's arm, and then the knife broke. Looking at the broken dagger in her hand, she was confused for a moment. Why could someone's skin be harder than steel? What kind of monster is this? Are you going to die? No, I just escaped from the stomach of Mr. Lantern. But Kaido didn't do it. The little girl's behavior seemed to arouse his interest. A very interesting kid, but too weak. Hey, how about coming to my ship as an apprentice? Your courage will definitely help you achieve something in the future. As we all know, Kaido has many hobbies, one of which is to recruit various subordinates, and these subordinates are not only the strong ones he likes, but also the children he recognizes. Whether it is talent, identity, or personality, the new generation of the Beast's pirates are almost all brought back by Kaido. Although he has always been generous to those who are willing to join him, he is not stupid. Looking at the future of the Beast's pirates, the 3 calamities plus the Flying 6, except for the veterans Quinn and Jin, most of them were brought back by him, since childhood and raised. Such people are the real core of the Beasts. There are many children brought back by him from various places. Compared with Big Mom who gave birth to all her own children and Whitebeard's personality of liking to have sons, Kaido can be called the head of the first kindergarten and the new world. The little girl was very weak and couldn't even hurt his skin, but he liked this kind of daring spirit. She dared to take him hostage and then stabbed him with a knife and even dared to bite him with her teeth after the knife broke. This desire to survive made him very satisfied. Without a strong heart, it is impossible to become a strong person. You can be cowardly and timid at ordinary times, but only those who dare to stand up at the critical moment can be considered as real strong people. If you have luck and domineering, it's another matter. Buggy the Clown is the only guy on the sea who doesn't give face to red hair, but his career is smooth sailing. Okay, I'll join you. TSK, who wants to join you? I hate pirates the most. I'll ride Elizabeth and run away when you're not paying attention. This is what she said in her heart, but the problem is that she said it out loud. She looks like a child, but she is actually over 150 years old. The ring on her hand is inlaid with a small piece of rare metal called pure gold, which is known as a precious metal that can buy the whole world. Its effect is to suspend the growth of the human body, which is why she has lived for so long. She has been living in the belly of a sea king for more than 100 years and has not seen other living people. She has only a lizard to accompany her, so she has developed this bad habit of talking to herself. She thought Kaido would be furious, but Kaido did not. Instead, he continued to laugh. If you have the ability, try to escape, but if I catch you, it will be very painful. What's your name, kid? Olga, Miss Skinner Olga. My name is Kaido. Remember your name as the captain in the future. When Arceus's experimental skills ended, and he returned here, he saw that there was an extra person and a lizard here inexplicably. Then Shaina briefly explained to Arceus what happened last night, and then pulled Olga's ear to tell her something. As the only woman on the ship, Kaido handed Olga to Shaina. However, Olga still had some resistance to being pulled on board by Kaido. She had a happy family back then, but because of pure gold, a large number of pirates rushed onto the island and killed her mother. This is why she hates pirates. Pure gold had long disappeared from the world, but her father recreated pure gold, based on the remaining documents, in order to delay the development of the virus in her body, so that she could survive. Unexpectedly, it attracted pirates and caused his wife's death. Then pure gold attracted a huge sea king and swallowed the entire island. Her father did not tell her about this, so she has hated her father for more than 100 years. If he hadn't made pure gold, none of this would have happened. She wanted to find a chance to escape, but Elizabeth lost the chain at this time. After seeing Arceus, it lay on the ground to surrender, and didn't want to leave here at all. Leaning against the side of the ship, Olga's eyes were darting around, thinking about how to escape. Quinn had also sorted out his power system, and was ready to set sail to find John. But just before the ship set sail, a man in a tattered dinosaur doll costume floated over from the sea. Chapter 31, a genius from more than 100 years ago. Same smell. Are you sure? It's normal for all kinds of strange things to float on the sea. Pirates will only pick up things that they are interested in. No one will pick up this strange looking unknown creature on the boat. But Elizabeth told Arceus that she smelled a familiar smell on the thing below. The genetic composition of the basilisk lizard is very complex. As a reptile, they have an unusually developed sense of smell and can capture odor molecules in the air. It just smelled a smell similar to Olga's. But others just thought he was yelling. Only Arceus understood what Elizabeth was saying. Jin, pick up the thing below. Yes. Jin spread his wings and jumped off the side of the ship and picked up the unknown creature floating on the sea. Under the dinosaur coat was a ragged blonde man with stubble on his face and a fat body. He seemed to have been in the water for too long, causing some swelling. Olga, Elizabeth said that this unknown creature smells like you. Do you know him? But I don't know him. Lord Saint Beast, can you understand what Elizabeth said? In the past few hours, Shaina had instilled simple thoughts in Olga. In short, Kaido should listen to what he said, but he didn't care about his attitude towards him. Just treat her and Jin as brothers and sisters. They are not difficult to get along with. You can ignore that fat guy Quinn. If he dares to make trouble, he can come to her. Arceus is the Lord Saint Beast. You must be respectful. If you dare to disrespect Arceus, you will definitely not end up well. The last sentence should be emphasized. She has no problem with intelligence. She can live alone with a lizard in a lonely environment for more than 100 years without being driven crazy. This mentality is already very good. Adults stranded on a deserted island may not be able to endure this loneliness after more than 10 years. It's just that, because there is no one, she has no one to learn or refer to, so her mind stays in that time period, still the mentality of a child. As both were women, they got along well, and Olga's inability to hide her inner thoughts would not change for a while, which made it easier for Shaina to understand her. It's not difficult to understand what it said. Elizabeth said it must have smelled right. Arceus looked at the unknown creature and confirmed Elizabeth's words again. In terms of smell and perception, he is many times stronger than this basilisk lizard, but he is not interested in the unknown floating objects on the sea. This is just a supporting role in the theater version. Arceus has been sleeping in the egg for longer than she has lived in the belly of the Sea King. It is normal for him to not remember such things. Could this guy be my bastard dad? After more than 100 years of not seeing each other, although he is still alive in the body of Lantern Master due to the irradiation of pure gold light, his image has changed a lot, and Olga did not recognize him. He won't die, right? She has complicated feelings for her father. He is her only relative, but he killed her mother and attracted Lantern Master. At this time, the unknown creature also opened his eyes. After finding that he was still alive, he was inevitably a little excited. He was also swallowed into the stomach of the Sea King, but he arrived at another island in the stomach, where countless dinosaurs lived. In order to protect himself, he disguised himself as a dinosaur cub. For more than 100 years, he could only eat meat every day, and could not see any vegetables and fruits. This was exactly the opposite of Olga, who could only eat vegetables and fruits every day, and could not see any meat. After the Sea King was defeated, he also ran out of the hole punched in the Sea King's body. Unfortunately he did not drown, and successfully floated here. I say, you guys, can't you start the foreign ship? Do I have to do everything on this ship? Kid, as an intern, at least do something. After such a long time, the foreign ship has not started, and Quinn walked out with an unhappy face. After all, there is one more person on this ship that he can order. He thought so, and then he saw another person on the deck. Finding that he had left the dinosaur nest, he naturally took off his dinosaur coat. Olga carried pure gold with her, so the clothes remained the same as before, but he was just affected by the light of pure gold, so the clothes had become tattered. The favorite food of the seeking was pure gold, and the bait was also made of pure gold. The strong light even illuminated his body. The best thing on him was his belt, and the words on the belt and the pattern on Olga's skirt attracted Quinn's attention. It was still dark when Olga first appeared, and he didn't pay attention to the details on the dark skirt, but now he found something very crucial. This pattern. Alchemy, are you from Alchemy Island? But that island is a legendary island that disappeared more than 100 years ago. Don't look at me, I don't know much about this, and this matter is also related to you, Mr. Arceus. Vegapunk couldn't analyze the constituent element of your stone slab at the time. And in this regard, alchemist technology is top notch, so the institute was full of documents about alchemy at that time, so I was able to recognize it. Ah, I'm indeed from alchemy. My name is Arceus, Miss Arceus. You are actually still alive. It's unbelievable. Am I famous? Of course. Vegapunk admires your talent in material science and mineralogy. You are a genius who made pure gold. Those people in the Mads Institute were dissatisfied with each other. They all thought that they were geniuses and were not much inferior to Vegapunk. There was only one kind of person in their industry who would be boasted about by them in public: the dead. It's okay to praise a dead senior. Arceus belongs to this type. In the eyes of everyone who knows him, he is a dead man. After all, even Alchemy Island has disappeared. Otherwise, he should have been taken away by the world government long ago. Pure gold is known as the metal that can buy the world because the celestial dragons are willing to get it at all costs. Pure gold can greatly slow down the growth process of organisms. In other words, it is a treasure that can make people immortal. More than 100 years have passed, and Olga has not changed at all, which makes those people at the top of power crazy. But pure gold will attract attacks from super large seekings, causing the entire island to be eaten, so the substance has always been just a legend. What kind of genius scientist is he? He's just a bastard. Things like pure gold should not appear in this world. Chapter 32. Children are afraid of injections. Quinn's praise for Athi angered Olga. In her eyes, pure gold was the source of misfortune. Olga. You are Olga, right? Great, you are still alive. Athi was very excited to see Olga, but Olga didn't think so. More than 100 years had passed, and she had too many questions to ask her father, which were not answered at the beginning. Why did you make such a thing? It was it that attracted those pirates. Tell me, why didn't you tell me? I don't want to see pure gold again. He took off the ring on his hand and was about to throw it into the sea. This action made the silent Athi react. No, stop. Olga, stop it. Olga did not dare to do this before, because the pure gold ring would attract the super large seeking called Lantern, but now, the seeking could no longer keenly capture the movement of pure gold. Moreover, this ring was once her only souvenir. Now that Athi is still alive, the result is different. Arceus' body was fat, and he hadn't exercised much for many years, so he was a little slow in his movements. He could only watch the ring fly farther and farther away. However, in midair, Quinn's mechanical claw flew out and caught the ring again. Olga said she never wanted to see pure gold again, and then threw the ring away. Doesn't this mean that the ring contains pure gold? Don't waste it. This is a good thing, Mr. Arceus. Vegapunk once proposed a hypothesis. What? If we can find the elemental composition of your stone tablet, plus a sufficiently special core metal, then it is possible to make a machine that analyzes the power of the stone tablet. The principle of the machine is not complicated. If the equipment is sufficient, I can also make it. With a little modification, perhaps we can detect the signal of the stone tablet. And this stone tablet originally belongs to you. You must know its composition very well. If everything goes well, we should be able to make a related device. Pure gold is that special metal? Maybe, maybe not. Vegapunk has experimented with most substances, but none of them work. This legendary pure gold may work. Vegapunk is a genius, and his technology is even 500 years ahead of today, but future technology may not be able to replicate ancient things. Everyone has their own areas of expertise, and Vegapunk cannot do it in terms of pure gold manufacturing. He is a genius, but he is not omniscient and omnipotent. There are things he can't do, or is not good at. Quinn is not sure whether he can make it. He just said an idea at the time. But Arceus would not let go of any possibility. If Quinn's idea could be realized, he could split up his forces to find the stone tablets in the future, speeding up the collection process. The reason why Quinn was so active was mainly to see if Arceus had any way to accelerate the growth of bananas. It was too torturous to have 2 bananas ripen in a year. Quinn had been hinting at this matter for a while, and Arceus also saw what he wanted. When you get the thing out, I will improve this power. If you want to accelerate the growth of tropical dragon bananas, then the only feature is harvest, and this feature needs to be activated a little. After all, Quinn had eaten the devil fruit a long time ago, and then the product of random mutation, which is different from the way Shaina and Jin obtained their abilities. Their abilities are more complete, but they still need to be developed. Well, if you need pure gold, I can help you make it, but can you return the ring to me first? His tone seemed very nervous, and anyone would think that he had a problem. Huh, you bastard dad, you actually want to make that kind of thing? Without the equipment of the entire island and the help of my mother, you can't. Whoop. A C blocked her mouth, but it was a little too late. To be honest, I hate people lying to me the most. I can really make pure gold again, but I need time, manpower, equipment, materials, and the original data are all destroyed. Everything has to start from scratch. He hasn't touched the equipment for more than 100 years. Although the knowledge is still there, it has become a lot less rusty. As for the ring, Asi looked at Olga and told the truth. Olga suffers from an incurable disease. The reason why I studied the manufacture of pure gold is to use the power of pure gold to suppress the development of her disease. Without the pure gold on the ring, Olga's body can't hold on for too long. This made Olga, who was still struggling, stop her movements. She had never thought of this. Asi studied pure gold for her. When his wife passed away, Asi was more sad than anyone else, but he had to pretend to be calm in front of his daughter and not let her know the truth, so as not to put pressure on himself. What followed was a scene of deep affection between father and daughter. Even Olga was a little nervous afterwards. These people were pirates. For ordinary people, pirates were not a good word. Even if she was treated as a trainee on the ship, it was the same. Her goal was to find an opportunity to escape. Would pirates consider other things when they saw something they liked? What disease does she have? Since it was to alleviate the condition, then solve the disease first. According to Quinn's meaning, pure gold was just a core. Other problems could be solved first, before installing the core components. At present even John had not been found. He could accept waiting for a little longer. The most important thing was that Kaido fell in love with this little girl, because Olga was too brave, and Arceus fell in love with Arceus' technology. Science and technology are the primary productive forces. He can even make something like pure gold, so making some simple things should not be a problem. South Sea Emperor fever, originated in the South China Sea, is a serious disease that the king of a country has, and there is no cure. South Sea Emperor fever? Yes, that's why I said it's not a terminal illness. It was conquered many years ago. Hearing this disease, Quinn said with disdain. He was originally a virus expert, and the virus of South Sea Emperor fever was not a disease at all in his opinion. After all, it was conquered many years ago, and the treatment plan has been announced. This shows that living long still has benefits. The terminal illness 100 years ago has become curable 100 years later. After saying that, he returned to the cabin and made a dose of injection using the medicine in the patrol ship. Okay, this injection will cure the disease. I'm a professional in this area. Then, he saw that the little girl who was brave enough to kidnap Kaido ran away without hesitation when faced with the syringe. No, I'm most afraid of injections. Chapter 33, A Mistake. Everyone has their own weaknesses. The brave girl who dared to hijack Kaido was frightened by a syringe and ran around the ship. Of course, in such a small environment, she couldn't run away. She was grabbed by Shaina before she ran 3 steps. Come back to me. Although the South China Sea Emperor fever has been conquered, it will still kill people if it is not treated in time. Quinn, give her an injection. Don't worry, I'm a professional in this area. After holding Olga's arm, his mechanical hand automatically completed a series of disinfection work, and then the syringe went straight into the shoulder. Little ghost, you are the one who dared to hijack brother Kaido. It's just a syringe. There's nothing to be afraid of. Looking at Olga with tears in her eyes, Quinn really couldn't figure out where she got the courage yesterday. Although she shouldn't know Kaido, the size difference is enough to deter most people. Then he handed her Kaido's bounty order. There are such things on the patrol ship. Pirates usually don't panic when they see the bounty order, but instead regard it as a capital for showing off. 1, 10, 100, 1000, 10,000, 100,000, 1 million, 1 billion, 1 billion. Olga's expression was a little distorted as she counted the long string of zeros on Kaido's bounty order. Bailey has been depreciating over the years, and its purchasing power is constantly declining. 1.2 billion bales more than 100 years ago are much more valuable than 1.2 billion bales today, not to mention that there are still some fractions behind it. The higher the bounty, the stronger the pirates are. This is common sense on the sea. Although the bounty of this pirate is determined based on its strength and the degree of danger the government considers, the strength and the amount of bounty are basically proportional. The father and daughter who lived in the stomach of the Sea King for more than 100 years were completely on the pirate ship less than a day after escaping. But strictly speaking, they were rescued twice by the beast pirates. Arceus and Kaido allowed them to escape from the stomach of the Sea King, and Quinn solved the South China Sea Emperor fever. Of course, the latter is not a difficult thing to do. As long as you find an island with a relatively backward medical level, you can find the corresponding vaccine. It was very difficult for her to escape from the pirate with a bounty of 1.2 billion. The most important thing was that Elizabeth had rebelled and completely surrendered to Arceus. She couldn't be pulled away, which directly cut off her possibility of escape, especially since her father also appeared here. But compared with Olga, Arcee was not so opposed to pirates. The thinking of an adult made him think more. He made pure gold, not for fame and fortune, but to solve Olga's physical problems. So after successfully making pure gold, he didn't spread the news everywhere. He knew what would happen to pure gold, although pure gold also had its side effects, such as limiting the body's slow development and hindering the progress of strength. But the long life it brought was enough to drive people crazy, especially the celestial dragons at the top of the world. They had everything in the world and what they wanted most was time. The high price of the surgery fruit was inseparable from the secret of its ability to perform immortality surgery. Even the people on the island didn't know what he was doing. The manufacture of pure gold was completely completed by him and his wife independently. Although the people on the island helped him transport materials, it was impossible to guess what these materials were used for. Different materials are purchased in batches, such as charcoal for barbecue, sulfur for soap, and saltpeter for ice, but these things can be mixed together to make gunpowder. The specific ratio is, well, don't ask. The materials for his pure gold are the same. At the beginning, he didn't know whether these things could be made into pure gold. So the question is, who leaked the news that he made pure gold to the pirates? The only one who can infer his purpose from the materials he bought and find that he succeeded is probably the world government. This is his guess. The world government wants to hold the pure gold in its own hands, but doesn't want other ambitious people to know about it. So the news was leaked. They hope to let the pirates deal with this matter first, and then the government will intervene, eliminate the extra insiders, take away Arcee, and let him make pure gold for them as a savior. The higher the status, the more you know, and the more you can experience the darkness hidden under the order of the world government. Of course, this is just his guess. It is not impossible for the world government to destroy alchemy with the demon killing order, but in that case, you still need to find an excuse and the impact after the pacification. The cost is too high, so it is better to use the pirates. But they didn't guess that the destruction caused by pure gold refers to the super large Sea Kings. Those pirates are murderous jackals, and the person who passed the message behind them is the real murderer. More than 100 years have passed, and those people at that time may have died of old age. Now he just wants to live a good life with his daughter. The position is not very important. With his technology, he can always find a foothold. This is near the car belt. Now he can only follow Kaido and others, but he is still very opposed to his daughter becoming a pirate. He wants to use the research needs as an excuse to let Olga assist in his research. But this is all later. Now Arceus and his party follow the life card provided by Prilt and continue to track John. On the other side, Spandine is slamming the table in the office. The incident in the South China Sea has been settled by the Navy, and Zephyr has another resume, but this has nothing to do with Spandine, because the people he left in the 277th branch are dead. Those pirates did not surrender directly to Zephyr's fleet, and Spandine's undercover was knocked into the corner of the window when he was unconscious due to Kaido's domineering power, so he did not wake up at all, and then died in the unknown AoE firepower of the Navy. The caliber of the warships from the headquarters is very different from that of the Force Seas, and there is a huge gap in firepower intensity. Although Zephyr is known as the non-killing admiral of the Navy, that means he will not kill those he catches with his own hands. He is not pedantic, and will not let the soldiers pay huge casualties in order to capture the other party alive. Then Spandine sent people to various prisons to interrogate the pirates, but no one knew what happened. The only news he knew was that Prilt and a big pirate had started a battle. After a while, Spandine made another call. Flet, have you found that bastard? Not yet, Commander Spandine, but the reaction of the life card is getting stronger and stronger. Catch that bastard. I'm going to let him know what the consequences of betraying me are. Looking at the half-life card in his hand, Spandine was very angry, but he didn't know that this life card was not Prilt's life card at all. Chapter 34 Teaching You to Dance. When Prilt was arrested and released as an undercover agent, Spandine naturally couldn't have no backup plan, so he made a life card before he set out. If it was someone else, it wouldn't matter. They would definitely be able to make the corresponding life card. But Prilt is the user of the play fruit, and he has various objects such as hair from people on his body to make puppets. The materials Spandine got were not Prilt's, but other people's materials. The life card made with outsiders' materials is certainly not Prilt's, which is why Prilt has died, but the life card in Spandine's hand has not changed. The agent he called Fault had entered the Grand Line according to the fluctuations of the life card, but by accident, he found the right place, because the person Prilt used to make the life card material joined the real John's fleet by accident. So Fault failed to find Prilt, but found John by accident, which made him make a judgment. Prilt did betray his agreement with Spandine and completely joined the John pirates. Captain Spandine, I'm in the first half of the Grand Line, the Kingdom of Nadjo. I haven't found Prilt, but the life card reacts very strongly. He should be nearby. At the same time, I found John here. That guy's fruit ability can disguise others. It's normal that you can't see him, but are you sure it's John? I'm sure that there is another big pirate traveling with him, who was also a member of Rock's ship at the time. His identity is temporarily confirmed to be Silver Axe in a hotel in the Kingdom of Nadjo. Flet carefully reported what he found. The two remnants of Rocks gathered together, which was not good news for him. According to his investigation, they have stayed in the Kingdom of Nadjo for a long time. If Prilt's previous news is true, then Rock's treasure may have a lot to do with this place. The areas of countries on the Grand Line are not the same. The unique geography has formed different island cultures. Smaller countries can travel all over the country in one day, and there are also large countries with vast land and population. The Kingdom of Nadjo is a large country in the Grand Line. The total area is about half of Alabasta. The climate is mild, and it is spring all year round. As one of the member states of the world government, Flit has to take the local situation into consideration when doing things here. Captain Spandine, do you want to ask for help from the nearby branches? Idiot, if those people in the Navy know about this, won't all this be exposed? But the threat of this group of people. The Kingdom of Natho is a member state of the government, and it will be difficult to explain if something really happens. Haven't they done anything yet? Keep observing. I will apply for people to help you. With this treasure, my future in the world government will be fine, and you will definitely benefit from it. Yes, I understand. As a CP agent, it is quite dangerous to be on the front line every day. His ideal is to become the head of the office and only need to give orders. The achievements brought by Rock's treasure are enough to do this, and according to his investigation, John has been waiting for this period of time, which is not like a pirate at all. Although the Kingdom of Natho is a member state of the world government does not care much about the affairs of the member states, and may not help them when they are in trouble. But when this country cannot pay the sky gold, they will be expelled from the member state. By then, the country will be completely abandoned by the navy and become a lawless place, so the member states will try their best to maintain this status. The status of a member state may not necessarily make the citizens safe, but non-member states must be more dangerous. The world government only wants the sky gold, but it doesn't care where the sky gold comes from. The kingdom of Woka, where Kaido was born, relies on foreign wars to obtain the sky gold. The kingdom of Natho is similar. Their country's fleet even has the status of a legal pirate, which is why the kingdom of Natho does not prohibit pirates from entering. This country is called the Grey Kingdom, and many pirates will sell stolen goods here. In order to protect their own interests, there are even unspoken rules in the pirate world. Flet pretended to be an ordinary smuggler and lived here, and Arceus and his men also began to gradually approach here following the guidance of the life card. John's previous position was also constantly changing, and Arceus and his men had to change direction from time to time. From the departure to now, the sailing time has exceeded 3 months. The doldrums are not an obstacle for them. The power device made by Quinn plus the outer wheel can also move at high speed in the doldrums, and the Seekings do not pose a threat to them, which saves a considerable amount of time. At this time, they were still using the patrol boat. During this period, Asir and Quinn got along very well. This was a pleasant exchange between the two sweet parties. Asir had only been able to eat meat for more than 100 years, so he had an extraordinary love for fruits and vegetables. This was his first contact with Quinn. Moreover, his talent in materials science and chemistry was the best in the world. Even Quinn could not compare with him. The two top scientists had a very friendly exchange here. The most important thing was that Asir did not fight or compete, and he and Quinn talked about business every day, which satisfied his vanity. Of course, there was another more critical reason. Finally, someone joined him in the ship. Compared with Asir, Olga's life was not so happy. More than 100 years had passed, and she had not studied for more than 100 years. As a scientist, Asir knew the importance of learning very well, so he began to make up lessons for her. And Kaido really wanted Olga to be an apprentice on the ship. He was more serious and responsible than Rox in this regard. Rox completely let her go, while he would focus on teaching and stare at Olga for physical training every day. Jin and Shaina were practicing on their own. They had already started with Haki, and the rest was to hone their skills. After they had mastered their current Haki, they would learn higher level Haki. According to the reactions of the life cards, they were getting closer and closer to their goal, and Arceus, who had completely absorbed the evil slate, called Shaina out. "Sacred beast, is there anything I can do for you? Can you dance?" Shaina didn't quite understand why Arceus asked such a question, but she still answered, "I can, a little bit. It's the sacrificial dance of the Lunaria tribe in the past. If you want to see other dances, I can learn them." "No, I just want to teach you a special dance, the battle dance, the sword dance." If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 35, The Future of Beasts. After Pokemon is transformed into abilities, the original skills will gradually awaken as the user's fruit development progresses, and Arceus can speed up this process, or let them learn some skills that they cannot learn by themselves and need to master through a machine. Sword Dance is this type. Compared with those original damage type skills, in this real world, combat is neither a turn-based game nor a specific damage value. The inherent enhancement of one's own attack power is the most effective thing. If sword dance type skills can be taught on a large scale, then the future style of the beasts may change dramatically. The Carters of other pirate groups are talking tough before the battle, while the people of the beasts are dancing collectively. Of course, this is an exaggeration. Teaching sword dance is not like teaching the other party to dance ballroom dance hand in hand. The slate of clearance emerged, and a power belonging to Arceus entered Shaina's mind. Then her thoughts entered a special space, and a phantom like herself appeared in front of her. The phantom mechanically repeated an action, and the way the power operated was also displayed in front of her. This is a special learning space. Everything here has nothing to do with the outside world. When Arceus teaches a skill alone, his thoughts will be pulled into this space. This is the power he regained after the evil face slate recovered some of its power. Otherwise, he should have taught them some new skills long ago. This way of teaching will also consume some of his own power, but the loss is lower than directly transforming the devil fruit. It can only be used when teaching skills, and cannot be used as a training space. The power of time and space is something he mastered only in his prime. Shaina didn't know how long she had been studying. When she opened her eyes again, the sun had climbed above the horizon and the morning sun was shining on the deck. It was night when Arceus called her out. It seemed that at least 7 hours had passed, but she seemed to have studied for 7 days in her memory. How is it? Let me see the effect of the sword dance. The learning process will only end in 2 situations: learning the skill, or automatically leaving the body when the body in the outside world reaches its limit. With the physique of the Lunaria people, 7 hours will never reach the limit, so Shaina must have mastered this skill. Yes. The body followed the actions in memory, and several sword-shaped phantoms appeared around the body surface, and then merged into the body again. The whole stage took about 7 seconds. What do you feel? During the sword dance, the body cannot make other movements, otherwise it will be interrupted, but I feel that it is, because I'm not proficient enough. If I become more familiar with it, I can solve this problem. These are some minor problems she noticed during use. It can be said that it has the same effect as the iron block. When ordinary people use the iron block, their bodies cannot move, but those who are skilled enough can move while maintaining the state of the iron block. The phantoms that appear outside the body when the sword dance is released are also a kind of key. If it is done properly, this kind of key should be able to combine with the external armed color domineering to form a special defense method. The fruit ability combined with domineering is a very reasonable way to develop moves. The learning space is only responsible for letting them learn, and they can only rely on themselves to master the skills. What's the effect? Sword dance. Physical attack level increases by 2, but it is not clear what this increase by 2 means, and Shaina herself can't explain it clearly. This? Lord Holy Beast, I don't know. How about asking Quinn to help? She could feel the increase in strength, but she didn't know the specific effect. The Navy and the world government did have ways to test the power of Taoism, but no pirate knew that. Why did he look for Quinn? Because Quinn had fought with Shaina once before, and he could feel the change more. You go find him. Jin should be almost done. Jin was also in this state, obviously learning other skills. Quinn, who had just woken up, received his first bad news this morning. Because he had mastered new skills, he had to judge the increase ratio. At first, he protested. As a ship doctor, scientist, helmsman, navigator, and combatant, he demanded equal status. Arceus felt that what he said made sense. They were all people on the same ship, and should not be treated too differently. So he used the reason of accelerating the growth of his bananas with the accelerator harvesting property, to make Quinn agree to this matter very voluntarily. Come on, I'm ready. Don't hit me in the face or ruin my handsome face. Brother Quinn, pay attention to your smile. A handsome face should smile. This is Athi, who has become familiar with Quinn. The two have reached a consensus that they think they are handsome. Although Athi and Alga are older in body age, they both choose to ignore the more than 100 years they have been in the belly of the Sea King. Otherwise Kaido would have to call Alga an old woman. Lord Holy Beast, can I kick both of them into the sea? Calm down and pay attention. Athi can't withstand your kick. Quinn can't swim. If he really falls in, you will have to rescue him. Half of the people on this ship are people with special abilities. Although Athi and Alga can swim, they obviously can't drag Quinn's body. The same is true for Elizabeth. If Quinn falls into the sea and Arceus doesn't help, Shaina can only rescue him by herself. Hey, don't kick me, woman. Kick here. My hand is made of special metal. You kicked it last time. the changes on it can be compared with the results. Do you want to use me as a force gauge? Quinn clearly felt that Shaina wanted to take revenge. After a few months of sailing, Jin was still okay. Although he would squeeze him verbally, his actions were different. But Shaina obviously holds a grudge. This is simply an opportunity to take revenge. At the moment, she limited her attack range on the grounds of better testing. Although his ability was enhanced, Shaina's damage to him was higher. He thought it was because the wings made of plants were afraid of fire, and he was planning to undergo a new round of transformation on himself. Shaina didn't kick him wrong, but even so, Quinn still felt that his shoulder was almost dislocated. According to the degree of metal deformation, the power of your kick is about 65% stronger than before. What a strong increase. How long can you last in this state? Probably half an hour, but the consumption is not very large, so the duration has little effect. At this time, Jin also ended his learning process and continued to experiment with skills on the ship, but the new skills mastered by Jin were obviously different from Shaina's. Chapter 36 Weather Hand. The flame behind Jin burned more vigorously. In this case, the sunlight changed. It was originally the rising sun, and the sunlight was not very hot, but after Jin used his skills, the sunlight became more dazzling. On a sunny day, both Flame Chicken and Tropical Dragon can benefit from a sunny day. The battle with John will inevitably be a melee. In order to achieve better results in the battle, team battles become more important, and Jin took on the position of Weather Hand. On a sunny day, the power of flame skills will be increased, and the sunshine flame will also save the process of charging. Jin's own flame can also be improved to a certain extent under the blessing of a sunny day. The ability of the fossil pterosaur gives Jin more high altitude advantages. He is currently the most suitable person to serve as a weather hand. The consumption of changing the weather is much greater than the consumption of the sword dance on itself. Therefore, it is necessary to control the scope of the battle. Shaina is more impulsive, so the position of weather hand is handed over to the more rational Jin. The next step is a new attempt, that is, whether the skills taught by Arceus can be learned by others through indirect teaching. The specific behavior is that Jin teaches Quinn to learn Sunny Day, and Shaina teaches Kaido to learn Sword Dance. Even if the opponent can touch a little fur, it means the possibility of indirect learning. Moreover, the bonus of Sword Dance is calculated according to the user's own strength. With Kaido's current military strength, although it has not yet reached its peak, a few more buffs can still pose a sufficient threat to the enemy in terms of attack power. This process lasted for 7 days. Quinn got a little bit of the way to Sunny Day, but Kaido had no idea about Sword Dance. This confirmed one thing, that people whose abilities are related to Arceus can master more skills through indirect learning. However, if their own abilities are not related to Arceus, they will not be able to learn this kind of skills at all. Arceus then tried to instill the use of Sword Dance into Kaido, and this time it succeeded. But unlike Shaina, the Sword Dance released by Kaido has the same effect, but it consumes more, and lasts for a shorter time. This is caused by physical differences. Forcing an unmodified body to use this skill is like wearing a shoe that doesn't fit well. But when walking on a gravel road, it is better to have a shoe that doesn't fit than to have no shoes. However, this is not a big problem for Kaido, as he can afford this consumption with his physical strength. It is still the same old problem. The transformation of Kaido now consumes too much energy, and at this stage, he can only make do with this. After sailing for this period of time, Arceus and his companions have entered the waters of the kingdom of Natho, and have also seen how tough the people here are. At this time, in the sea next to them, a ship flying the flag of the kingdom of Natho had a fierce battle with a group of pirates on the sea. The cause of the battle was that these pirates sold the stolen property they hijacked in the kingdom of Natho, but did not want to give it to the kingdom for a share, which triggered this battle. Arceus and his companions who passed by ignored those people at all, but used the speed of the transformed ship to move towards the main island of the kingdom of Natho. I haven't seen John for 5 years. He is a two-sword flow. His strength is the weakest among the Cardas at that time. He is not Ling Ling's opponent, but he is also a strong man. He is definitely not the same as the John imitated by Prilt. Kaido is doing popular science work and talking about his impression of John's abilities. You are not his opponent? No, after I have the power of the fruit, I should be about the same as him in a head-on battle. Kaido has always been very smart. When faced with a situation where he is not his opponent for the time being, but has to find a way to achieve his goal, he doesn't mind using some means. He is much stronger than he was 5 years ago. If nothing unexpected happens, John is not his opponent. But he will not stand still in the past 5 years. With his subordinates, our troops are not enough. The stone slab is the main goal, but I don't sense the breath of the stone slab. Either this place is too big and the stone slab has not entered my perception range, or there is no stone slab here at all. So we still have to solve John's problem. There is no possibility of negotiation. John values money as his life. He will not let go of any treasure, even if it is meaningless to him. But the treasure is most likely here. John's position has not changed for a long time. Looking at the jumping life card in his hand, Kaido had a rough guess. The frequency of the life card's fluttering indicates the distance between the holder and the target. When the distance is extremely far, the life card will only move slightly in that direction. And when the distance is close, the frequency of the life card shaking will also increase. According to the frequency of changes in the life card during this period, it can be inferred that John had been wandering around not long ago, but for more than a month, he has stayed on this island without moving. When it was about to dock, Kaido made the decision to abandon the ship. The kingdom of Natho has strict inspections on entry, and ships cannot escape their sight if they approach, which is not what Kaido wants. Moreover, this ship has begun to be unable to meet their needs. Due to the gray area, the shipbuilding industry in the kingdom of Natho is also very developed. Kaido also plans to directly change his own ship here. Using the Navy's patrol ships all the time is not a long-term solution. At first, Asir and Alga wanted to stay on the ship, not because they wanted to take the opportunity to escape or something. The danger level of the Grand Line is not something they can deal with, but for safety. But Quinn gave them a blow. Don't be ridiculous. This is the kingdom of Natjo, a gray area on the Grand Line. If you park your ship in the port, the people here will help watch the ship for the cost of care. But the naval patrol ship parked on the sea, are you afraid that you won't attract enough pirates? If you see a large warship, ordinary pirates will naturally take the initiative to escape, but such a small boat is a revenge opportunity delivered to the doorstep of many pirates. The fighting power of this father and daughter is just a meal for the pirates. Even if Kaido is training Olga, it will not produce results so quickly. So the best result for them is to go to the island with Kaido and others, and then stay in the city of the kingdom. Kaido brought Arceus and others into the kingdom of Natjo, and Flet continued his surveillance career. During this period, John did not take any action, like a person on vacation. He also saw the target of the life card. Although his face was different from Prelt's, with Prelt's ability, the other party was very likely to be disguised, so he did not doubt it. According to his recent intelligence, a unique sea phenomenon in the kingdom of Natho, a low tide, will appear in 3 days. He believes that John has been waiting for this for so long. Chapter 37, Fleetwood's Ambition. Natjo is the name of the kingdom, but the island has another name. Just like Alabasta is located on Saint Ting Island, the land of Natjo Kingdom is called Donut Island. The specific reason is that the island looks like a huge donut from a high altitude. The island is ring-shaped, and inside is a huge inland lake, with a total area of more than 1/3 of the country's land area. The so-called Big Ebb Tide is not the change of the sea area in the outer sea, but refers to this inland lake in the kingdom. Every 3 years, on the full moon night, the water in the inner lake will disappear for 3 days strangely, revealing the bottom of the lake below. John and his party stayed here for too long. In addition to waiting for this, Flet could not think of any other reason, but what happened next was not very related to him. He still knew his own strength. Although he was a member of CP9, and was proficient in the 6 styles, he was okay to deal with the pirates in the first half of the Grand Line. Facing a monster like John with a bounty of 10 digits, he had no ability to intervene at all. Monitoring from a distance was his limit. At this time, he had completed the handover of the task, and 2 members of CP0 from Mary, GIs took over his task. This is the base of John's people. His people come here to purchase supplies at 2 PM every day. Their movements can be observed from the top floor of the hotel where I live. Holt explained the intelligence he had collected these days to two ordinary middle-aged men. They looked ordinary and would disappear directly if thrown into a crowd of people. Not all CP0s wear white suits and masks when they are on the move. Their main goal is to complete their mission. In order to complete this mission, they usually have many identities and choose suitable clothes. At this point, the next work has nothing to do with him. No matter what the result is, Holt's mission has been completed. If the mission is successful, he will naturally get his own credit. Spandine is different from Spandam. In addition to knowing how to flatter, he is also capable. Otherwise, he would not be so popular in various institutions. Moreover, he will not take the credit of the frontline agents. He knows very well what he should not touch. After handing over what he thought was Pilt's life card to the CP0s, Flet planned to leave this place of trouble. John's goal of pursuing money in life was well known to everyone. The process of moving this treasure could not be too peaceful, and it would not be a good thing for him to stay on this island. Then he packed up and planned to leave, but in the process of leaving, he met Kaido and his men. Alga was still wearing a purple dress, but it was not the same one as before. That dress had a special meaning to her and had been put away. When they passed by an island for supplies, she asked a tailor to make more than a dozen identical clothes. Even the patterns on it were the same. Those patterns came from the ancient texts of alchemy. To most people, it was just an ordinary pattern, but those who knew the business could see that these words were related to alchemy. Flet was not a person who studied ancient texts, and the government did not allow people to study that kind of thing. Only people in a special department of the government were allowed to study that kind of text. It's just that the current ban is not too strict, and O'Hara still exists. Before they touch the taboo, nothing will happen there. But Flet knew about alchemy. Every year, new celestial dragons would give orders to find pure gold after knowing the news. Now, this has become a good way to cheat funds. But it takes some effort to fool those celestial dragons. There are idiots among them, but not all of them are idiots. Everyone has ambitions, and no one will let a group of pure trash sit on their heads. At least a satisfactory report should be submitted. In the process, they also have enough understanding of alchemy. A pattern can be a coincidence, but a whole set of words can never be a coincidence. Watching Arceus and the others passing by, he took out his Dendenmushi again, and found a secluded place. Captain Spandine. What's wrong, Flet? CP0 has contacted you, right? Yes, Captain Spandine, we have completed the task handover. Do you have any other tasks? He hesitated at the moment the call was connected. Spandine's success in the world government has a lot to do with his network of relationships. If he can get in touch with the celestial dragons, his future will definitely be much better than it is now. Why should such a credit be shared with Spandine? So he did not tell the truth, but thought of eating alone. No, you take care of the rest. It's up to you to assist them or return early. Yes, I understand. After hanging up the Dendenmushi, he returned along the original route. This road has only one direction. During this period, he did not lose anyone. In addition, the population flow in the kingdom of Natjo was not small, so he did not attract too much attention. It's just that Flet made a very low-level mistake for an agent. Because he was attracted by the words of alchemy on Alga's body, he did not realize that the tall man in a cloak beside him was Kaido. The central hotel of the kingdom of Natjo, which consumed a lot of the kingdom's finances, is a place that integrates food, accommodation, and transactions. It is said that even the giants can live here. As long as you pay, you can stay. No one will care about the identity of the people here. The only rule is that fighting is not allowed in the hotel. So no one stopped Arceus and Elizabeth, inhuman creatures, from entering the hotel room. You two just wait here. We will leave here after this is over. Quinn, go to the dock to find a new ship. The feature here is that there are always stocks in stock. By the way, didn't you sense your slate? Alga and Arcee were not capable of participating in a battle of this scale. Although Kaido understood that fighting was the fastest way to improve, he would not let an apprentice experience life in a battle of this level. It was safest to leave them here and then arrange Quinn to buy ships. Although Arceus planned to use Kaido to fleece the sheep failed, the dedication of many of his colleagues along the way still allowed them to reap a lot of funds. The Navy's bounty distribution does not have the real name system. Anyone who is not wanted can go to exchange for the bounty. Chapter 38, Civil Strife Among Pirates. Moreover, in the battle between pirates, neither side will waste this resource. In some places, there are such middlemen in the black market. They are responsible for sending the defeated pirates to the navy and getting commissions from the bounty. This is almost an unspoken rule. Even the big pirates in the New World will do similar things after capturing or killing the pirates who make trouble in their territory. This is even an important source of income for some pirates. No, it seems that we still have to deal with John, but there are more people here. I think many of them are locals. And why do these people stop their ships in the open space? There are many large ships in the open space outside, just stranded in the open space, and it seems that they have not experienced sailing for a long time. Moreover, the ships are fixed to the ground with very thick and long iron chains, and it seems that they cannot move too far. This is the unique low tide in the kingdom of Natho. When the inland lake in the middle dries up, the surrounding sea level will rise instead, flooding all the low-lying areas until the low tide phenomenon ends. Except for the highlands, where the royal family and nobles live, the rest of the area will be like this, so there are those large ships for refuge. But it is safe here. This hotel can be said to be the dividing line of the flooded area, so many people come here. At this time, Quinn has an additional job as a tour guide, explaining the unique phenomenon of the kingdom of Natho. It is precisely because of this special phenomenon that the kingdom of Natho has a mild climate, but it cannot develop the planting industry for a long time. Every 3 years, when the high tide occurs, it is a devastating blow to the planting industry here. Time is slowly passing. Quinn has solved the problem of the ship, and Kaido has also found John's trace. His people are stationed near the inland lake, and it seems that they are also waiting for the occurrence of the high tide. As time reaches the night of the third day, the alarm sounded in the kingdom of Natho, and the people began to take refuge with their assets, and various forces also launched their own actions. John, are you sure that Rock's treasure is here? At the John pirate's base, a short man wearing heavy medieval armor, a shield hanging on his armor, and a bright silver axe in his left hand asked. Codenamed Silver Axe, his real name is unknown even to the people on Rock's ship. They only know that he has never taken off his armor. Of course, this is a clue found on Happiness Island. When the moon is full, the big low tide will occur. At that time, the true appearance of the treasure will naturally appear in front of us. It belongs to our treasure. John's tone is full of confidence. He has absolute confidence in treasure hunting, and this is also the last treasure hunt in his plan. The treasure left by Rox is enough for him to live a new life in anonymity. It's just that there are too many people. The treasure belongs to him alone. He doesn't want to share the treasure with these people. If it weren't for the fact that he needs their strength to find the treasure, he would not join forces with these people. However, John only told half the truth. The treasure is indeed here, but the environment here is also extremely dangerous. As long as he takes advantage of it, these guys will be buried here forever. At the same time, they will also send a signal to the world that the John pirates have completely disappeared and Captain John is dead. Only in this way can he start a new era of life. As for his crew, what does it have to do with him? At this time, the corners of Silver Axe's mouth under his helmet also revealed a unique smile. Coincidentally, he didn't want to share the treasure with John. His hand has pressed a button of a Den Mushi. As he pressed his Den Mushi, a pirate ship in the sea off Donut Island also revealed its true appearance. On the ramming corner of the bow, stood a man wearing heavy golden armor and a long beard. Although the people on the Rox ship will fight each other, there are also some who have a good personal relationship, such as Big Mom and Kaido, such as Silver Axe and the owner of this ship, the former Rox pirates Kaido Wang Zhi. Trust is a joke on Rox ship, so Silver Axe has contacted Wang Zhi long ago and planned to get rid of John with Wang Zhi. After understanding the situation of the sea area here, Wang Zhi's ship has been hovering nearby for half a month, intending to rush directly over when the big low tide occurs, taking advantage of the rising sea level outside. At the same time, Two of John's men were lying in the dark alley, replaced by two members of CP0, and in the clouds high in the sky, Kaido in the form of a blue dragon was ready to go. The full moon was in the sky, and the big low tide ended as expected. The water in the central lake began to recede, revealing the slippery lake bottom below, and the original creatures in the lake did not know where they ran to. The sea water outside began to spread, and most of the land in the kingdom of Nathu began to be submerged by the influx of sea water. The large ships on the plains began to float up, and the citizens of the kingdom of Nathu began to live on the water for a period of time. The shape of the bottom of this lake is like a skull. The high altitude instruction saw it more clearly. Although this inland lake was just an irregular circle when there was water, when the lake water receded, the rocks on the lake shore and the bottom of the lake just formed the shape of a skull. Maybe Old Rocks has a preference for this shape. The shape is the same on Hatchiness, and this way the accuracy is higher. Then John took out an armband with two semicircular spheres on it. He folded it in half to form a sphere, and held it high. The reflected moonlight shone on a rock, and a spherical hole appeared on it. There is no doubt that this is the switch of the treasure, and at this time, a gunshot broke the silence here. One of Silver Axe's men fell down, and the man who fired the gun was a member of John's pirate group disguised as CP0. They didn't want more people to know the specific details of the treasure. They only had 2 people, and it was not realistic to restrict hundreds of pirates. Not to mention that there were Cardas with a bounty of over 100 million, and it was their plan to stir up civil strife among the pirates. Silver Axe and John were already wary of each other, and this shot could be said to have detonated a powder keg, and the scene suddenly became tense. John, you acted early enough. TSK, do you believe me when I say this is not what I meant? This was really not John's plan. His plan was to make Silver Axe and his crew disappear. How could he act before opening the door to the treasure? And he never gave such an order. There was no doubt that someone was instigating this, and there were other people involved. But Silver Axe didn't know about this. Seeing John act, he gave up the idea of waiting for Wang Zhi to be in place before taking action. Guys, act. Chapter 39 John's abilities. A few minutes ago, the people around him were allies, but a few minutes later, they were already facing each other. Betrayal is not uncommon among pirates. Most pirates are ready for internal fighting at the moment of alliance. They can unite for interests, or they can fight for interests. Whether the object of the alliance is trustworthy, and to what extent it can be carried out depends on one's own judgment. Arceus can offer temptations that Kaido cannot refuse. At least Kaido is much more reliable than John. They have no conflicts of interest. Arceus needs people to find stone tablets, and Kaido wants a legion of capable people and powerful companions. Unless someone runs to Kaido with a devil fruit tree, or comes to Arceus with a dozen stone tablets, this alliance is quite solid. What's more, what Arceus hates most is betrayal and deception. He can't control others, at least he won't do such a thing. Silver Axe and John's subordinates started fighting, and gunshots rang from time to time below. As a hot weapon, the musket is still one of the important weapons. Compared with cold weapons that need to be trained day by day to form combat effectiveness, the musket only needs simple operation to get started. The weaker the strength, the more important role guns can play. Even if a powerful sniper faces an enemy with strong defense, he can still cause fatal damage with a gun, but such people are few and far between. Cold weapons are still the mainstream. Swords, axes, and even shovels and pickaxes used to dig treasures have become weapons at this time. They are all big pirates in the new world, but their subordinates are also strong and weak, and not all of them are proficient in domineering. More than 100 of the hundreds of pirates fell in the first battle, and the battle between John and Silver Axe has just begun. Silver Axe is relatively short, but he has a strange strength. The country he came from is proficient in forging. The armor on his body is made of special metal. Although it is heavy, it has excellent defense, and reflects bright silver light under the moonlight. The axe swung and slashed towards John, but John, holding 2 knives, did not confront Silver Axe head on. He nimbly dodged his attack and rushed towards Silver Axe. Silver Axe is a powerful heavy armored warrior, and it is not a wise choice to fight him head on. Looking at John rushing over, Silver Axe did not dodge, but held the axe handle with both hands. With his understanding of John, He did not need to pick up his shield because John was unable to break his defense. His armor has no gaps except for an observation port between his eyes. Only the defense at the joints is relatively weak, but with the blessing of domineering, he is confident that he can block John's attack. So he raised the axe high and planned to kill him while enduring John's attack with his body, but John just made a feint, and while approaching, he slid to avoid Silver Axe's axe blade and stabbed Silver Axe's ribs with his backhand knife. Silver Axe sneered at this, and one side of the armor was wrapped with a thick armed color domineering, and then turned around and smashed John. The axe is a heavy weapon, even without the axe blade. Just a simple swing can cause effective damage. But in the next moment, his figure paused. "You guy, when did you eat the devil fruit?" John's longsword sank into the armor, but the armor was intact. But Silver Axe could feel that the longsword pierced his body. Because he was used to wearing heavy armor, Silver Axe's domineering aura was always attached to the surface of the armor, and there was rarely any domineering aura attached to the body inside. So when John's attack ignored the armor, his body would naturally be pierced. This was not the effect caused by the internal destruction of the armed color. He felt the blade in his body. Only those strange abilities could do this. How could I tell you about this? John rotated the blade in his hand and planned to deal a fatal blow to Silver Axe, but this kind of scar was still a little short of making a monster of this level lose its combat effectiveness. Facing the axe swung by Silver Axe, he could only temporarily avoid the edge. It was a pity that he could not take down Silver Axe with one blow. Such opportunities were rare. Silver Axe, who had learned his lesson, would inevitably attach domineering aura to his body, but from the blood flowing from the connection of the armor, it can be seen that John's attack achieved a good effect. After the Battle of God Valley, John found a devil fruit and secretly became a special ability user. Even among his crew members, only a few confidants knew about this superhuman door fruit. Just now, he opened a corridor door in space, allowing his blade to ignore the armor attached with domineering aura and directly open a passage inside the armor. However, the door fruit can only open doors in the opposite direction of the line, otherwise he can open the door directly to Silver Axe's neck. I really underestimated you, but I still have a backup plan. Then he fought with John, and the two gradually came to the middle of the lake. The ground became muddy, which was not a good thing for Silver Axe. Then he took out a flare from somewhere and shot it into the air. This was the signal he and Wang Zhi agreed on. As the flare exploded in the air, Wang Zhi's pirate ship seemed to have received the signal. Although the ship was still some distance away from here, the shells had already flown over. The target was exactly him. The large-scale artillery fire completely covered the place. This was the original plan of Silver Axe and Wang Zhi. They forced John's men to a position and then annihilated them with heavy artillery. Silver Axe was safe and sound in the artillery fire with his armor and domineering defense, but a few minutes later, when the artillery fire stopped, John was not affected at all, and even his clothes were not stained with any dust. The door fruit, space door, he just entered another space directly, completely avoiding the attack of the artillery. What fruit did you eat? Only an idiot would tell you that the knife should have pierced your kidney. I want to see how long you can hold on. At this time, he just regarded the person who fired the cannon as Silver Axe's men. When Wang Zhi brought more people to surround the other members of John's pirate group in the lake area, he realized the seriousness of the problem. Wang Zhi, John, open the door to the treasure. Even if you are a person with special abilities, you have no chance of winning against the two of us. Well, that's right. It's not surprising that you two guys are getting together. But if you want my treasure, you'd better wait for your next life. When it comes to treasure, John has no intention of compromising. A strange force is channeled from his body into the ground. This is the cemetery he has chosen for these people. Chapter 40. I didn't say you can leave. Wang Zhi clenched the giant sword in his hand, and it seemed that he was ready to chop off John's head at any time. However, the treasure had not really appeared yet. CP0's behavior made Silver Axe take action in advance. There were many people who were tempted by Rock's treasure. 5 years later, it was still safe and sound, because no one could find it. If they took action directly against John, they might not be able to get the treasure. Just as they were stiff, the two people from CP0 could no longer sit still. Their plan was to let John and Silver Axe fight each other, but Wang Zhi's appearance disrupted the original balance. CP0 is known as the strongest shield of the Celestial Dragons, and is the world's strongest intelligence agency. The selection of CP0 members is also very strict. Mastering the 6 styles is only the most basic requirement. They must protect the Celestial Dragons without reason in their minds, and obey the orders of the Celestial Dragons and the world government. The number of CP0 is unknown. They usually carry out secret activities, investigate smuggled arms around the world, carry out secret assassinations, and reach secret deals with non-world government member countries or some pirates. The strength of the members varies, but the weakest is enough to gain a place in the new world and serve as a cadre in those big pirate groups. Originally, they were just pretending to be under John, but the appearance of Wang Zhi disrupted their plan. What they wanted to face was a seriously injured Silver Axe or John, not 2 pirates with bounties of more than 1 billion. It would not be good for them to join forces with Wang Zhi and Silver Axe. CP0 is better at assassination in this dim environment, and Silver Axe and Wang Zhi's attention is more on John. Not paying attention to these defeated soldiers, it may not be impossible to take the opportunity to balance the combat power, but someone is much faster than them. Thunder. The sky tonight is not bad. Although there are a few dark clouds in the sky, they do not block the moon. The bright moonlight still sprinkles on the mud at the bottom of the lake. But this is just now. A large amount of lightning fell from the sky and launched an indiscriminate attack on the crowd below, but the thunder was more locked on Wang Zhi and Silver Axe. Then a giant dragon rushed out of the clouds, and the flame cloud wrapped several figures standing in the night sky. Ugh. There are so many old acquaintances, don't you think so, you bastard seniors? Kaido deliberately emphasized the word senior. He was interested in treasure, but it was only second. The first was Arceus' stone tablet. In this respect, they were different from the people below. They were looking for all the treasures of rocks in the past, while Kaido was looking for the treasure that was on the ship at the beginning. Arceus still didn't feel the breath of the stone tablet at this time, so what Kaido needed was to get information from John, not to look for treasure after John's death. Kaido, who suddenly appeared, changed the situation below again. His indiscriminate attack method didn't seem to be a greeting. Calling them bastard seniors meant that he had also been on Rock's ship. After the animal system changes, it will still retain its original characteristics to a certain extent. In addition, Kaido's voice, after comprehensive consideration, his identity is no longer a secret. Isn't this the trainee kid on the ship? Now you don't have that woman to protect you. Ugh, stop kidding. Even without Lingling, I can still deal with you. Bad wind. A large number of wind blades swept down. Kaido's early attack was not a big deal for Wang Zhi and his men, as they all had ways to deal with it. However, it was a completely devastating blow to their subordinates. The previous lightning and the current wind blades caused a large number of casualties to the pirates, especially the John pirates. They were already facing the combined attack of Silver Axe and Wang Zhi, and Kaido's attack directly caused a large number of casualties to the John pirates. You really got a good ability, a mythical beast species? Did you form an alliance with John? You are really brave. Don't talk nonsense, it's just that John has something I want. Kaido, you and I will work together to deal with these 2 guys. When the time comes, let alone that thing, we can share Rock's treasure equally. The conversation between Kaido and Wang Zhi made John think of winning over Kaido, but he was met with ruthless ridicule. Don't be ridiculous. Captain John will share his treasure with others? Ugh, are you trying to make me laugh to death? Not only Kaido, but even Silver Axe and Wang Zhi laughed. John, look at your credibility. Even the trainee doesn't want to believe you, so just hand over the treasure honestly. Can you 2 be trusted? We are all the same, but since you all want the treasure, then go and take a look. The Earth Flip Gate. He has been using his fruit ability since the beginning, but this time the scope is much larger. Originally, he wanted to delay some time, and Kaido's appearance just helped him. The entire lake bottom turned into a huge flip door and began to turn upside down and rotate. For a moment, everyone here was lifted up by the rolling earth, and under the flip door, a special space could be vaguely seen. Ordinary people were powerless to resist in this environment and fell into the pit below, but Wang Zhi, Silver Axe, and CP0 took the initiative to rush over. They saw what they wanted below. Kaido. I know, hold on. Looking at the changes below, Kaido also rushed down with the flame cloud. For him who can fly, the underground environment is not that scary. And John, the leader of all this, also fell into the pit with a weird smile. Has this guy's fruit ability awakened? The entire bottom of the inland lake turned into a flip door under the influence of John's ability. This is already in the category of awakening. The superhuman devil fruit has the ability to affect the surrounding terrain after awakening, but at this time they still haven't figured out what fruit John ate. There was actually a huge underground cave under the inland lake, and there were strange luminous plants inside, which filled the dark underground with dim light. And under their feet were not stones or soil, but treasures. In other words, the entire inland lake was the total volume of the treasure. The underground space was very large, and Kaido could still fly in the air. When the others fell, they were knocked unconscious. Only the Carters remained awake, and now all these people's eyes were on John. This is a treasure you want, and it is also your burial place. Everyone present, including Captain John, died here. I'm going to start a new life. Goodbye, idiots. John was about to open the space door and leave here, but at this time, a strange energy enveloped him, and he inexplicably rose in anger in his heart, and the idea of escaping was put behind his mind. The slate of evil provocation launched successfully. Chapter 41, Die Together. Provocation makes the opponent angry, and for a period of time the opponent can only use moves that cause damage. The provocation at this time leaves a hint in the emotions and psychology. Compared with those powerful skills, provocation is sometimes more powerful and unsolvable. In the game even Caterpillar and Magikarp can cause damage to the mythical beast, but not in reality. The power of skills can be improved through training, and sparks can also produce the power of a large-scale fire explosion. However, this kind of rule-based skill can be called a magical skill. After the provocation is played, John feels a surge of anger in his heart. Originally, he wanted to use the power of the door fruit to leave here, and then change the terrain, so that this place would be flooded by the lake again, so that those who peeked at his treasure would die here. And no one knew that John left here alive, and those who knew he was a capable person would die here, so that he could live a new life with the treasure. But after the provocation took effect, he no longer wanted to do this. The anger in his heart told him that only by killing these people head on could he calm his anger. Moreover, Arceus' provocation was not only to John, but to everyone except the beasts. Captain, what do you mean by what you said just now? What do you mean everyone will die here? This was the question raised by John's subordinates. John's words just now did not mean to take them away together, but to bury them here together and monopolize the treasure. Under the influence of provocation, the crew's anger surged in their hearts, and their eyes turned unkind when they looked at their captain. A person who wants to take the treasure alone and kill them here is no longer their captain. If it were normal, John would find a way to appease these men, but at this moment, the violent side of his heart was completely activated under the influence of provocation. What do you mean? The treasure belongs to me alone. You guys, just die here honestly. The effect of provocation varies from person to person. Ordinary people will only give up running away and start fighting. If used properly, it can also be used as a stimulant to stimulate people's fighting spirit, which can barely be regarded as a low-profile version of the fruit of encouragement. But for people with dark hearts, deep hidden emotions, and lack of self-control, provocation will make them go crazy. John is this type of person, and he is now completely furious. Door panels falling from rocks. There are no weaklings on Rock's ship, because it is common for the ship to kill each other. The weak would have been destroyed by their own people, not to mention encountering other enemies. John's strength is obvious to be able to become a carder on Rock's ship. In the few years since he ate the fruit, he has developed it to the point of awakening. Now the entire treasure space is affected by his ability, and he can activate his ability even without contact. The door fruit opens the door, but the door panel is also part of the door. Under his control, the rock formation above his head cracked to form huge door panels that smashed down and began an indiscriminate attack. The pirates who originally started fighting internally because of Arceus's ability suffered heavy casualties under the influence of the falling rocks, and the remaining sober people all set their sights on John. Although I don't know why he became like this, if this madman is not dealt with, everyone will die in this pit. The volume of the pit below the inland lake in the middle of Donut Island is also very large. It is in the shape of an hourglass, and the space below is larger than the space above. The gap in the middle is made of heavy rocks. If it were not for the door fruit, the only way to enter is through the secret passage. However, under the influence of John's ability, the passage has completely collapsed. The duration of the big low tide is 3 days. In 3 days, the upper part will be filled with backflowing lake water again. If they break through the rock wall at that time, they will have no chance of survival under the impact of the water flow. Ordinary people cannot break through the passage within 3 days, but they are different. These monsters in the new world have the power to make a gap, but they have to deal with this crazy John first. Although Silver Axe was stabbed in the waist, his strength was not affected too much. He looked at Wang Zhi and attacked John at the same time. At the same time, the carters of both sides also took action. Even John's subordinates had abandoned the captain in the face of this situation. Countless attacks were directed at John, including the 2 CP0s. The treasure had already appeared, and John had no meaning to continue to exist. The appearance of Kaido also made them see a new balance. As long as John died here, they, John's subordinates, would inevitably be temporarily ignored. John only needed to cause enough damage to Silver Axe or Wang Zhi, and Kaido in the sky would be able to form a new confrontation with them. At that time, with a little use, these pirates would surely be destroyed here. The treasure of rocks plus the fall of the 4 great pirates was an indescribable achievement for them. Facing the siege of many powerful men, John was quickly defeated and was eventually nailed to the ground by Wang Zhi's giant sword and was almost divided into 2 sections. It was not until this time that the impact of Arceus' provocation completely disappeared. Silver Axe was also seriously injured. Compared with Wang Zhi in his prime, John's attacks were more targeted at Silver Axe. Although there were many people attacking him, there was no cooperation, and even accidental injuries occurred. Under the influence of provocation, a larger scale internal struggle broke out. At this point, there were not many people standing. John, do you have any last words? Last words? Do you know that people who talk too much will eventually die? Hearing this, Wang Zhi had a bad feeling, but it was too late. The earth began to shake. He didn't expect that John in this state could still activate his fruit ability. No one can take my treasure away. It can only be mine. Earth lift gate. John regarded the entire lake as a door and manipulated the terrain to descend. This meant that the central area of the terrain that was originally higher than the surrounding area had become a depression, and the surrounding sea water would begin to roll back. In addition, this area had cracks due to the previous battle, and the sea water from the periphery began to seep in. You bastard. Wang Zhi killed John, but the sea water was still seeping in. Although the death of the ability user meant that the ability would be invalid, the indirectly destroyed terrain would not be restored. John's ability had already caused the collapse of the terrain, and killing him would not be able to stop what had already happened. They were about to do something, but John's body changed, and several exquisite treasure chests fell out of his body. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 42 Slate 418. This is his use of the door fruit. The door fruit not only represents a door, but also the space that appears after the door is opened. He used the fruit power to transform his body and formed a unique space in his body. The real treasures were placed in the space in his body, including the treasure that Rox brought on the ship and disappeared after the Battle of God Valley. Thunderbagua. Wang Zhi drew his sword to block behind him. The collision between the giant sword and the mace sparked new sparks. Can't you bear it anymore, trainee? I thought you were going to hide there forever. Kaido's presence was very low from the beginning, and he didn't even participate in the battle between John and them. He and Silver Axe both noticed Kaido peeping from above, but still regarded John as the primary enemy. Compared with this trainee, John was more threatening in their eyes. They didn't think that this trainee would attack them by surprise. John had just offended the public. If Kaido helped John, he would be an enemy of all the pirates present. But when he and Kaido fought for the first time, he realized the problem. The power was a bit too much. Even he was knocked back a distance before he could stabilize his body. Kaido did not do nothing during this period. He had been performing sword dances and superimposed them to the maximum number of layers. After 3 sword dances, the power of Thunder Bagua had reached its limit. Because of his contempt for Kaido, Wang Zhi was directly knocked out by this stick. Don't underestimate me, Bastard Senior. Why do you think you are fighting among yourselves? Since we don't have an advantage in numbers, of course we have to use our brains. John is pretty good, but now it's your turn. Compared to them who consumed their physical strength in the melee, the members of the Beasts in the Sky maintained their prime. Compared to these pirates who had just gone through a hard battle, Jin and his men could exert stronger power. Flames, leaves, rocks, and all kinds of abilities appeared here. You really found a group of incredible subordinates. With so many mythical beasts, I'm afraid you have also obtained a lot of Rock's treasure. Shaina, Quinn, Jin, Kaido, their changes in appearance and their ability to manipulate element. In Wang Zhi's opinion, there is only one possibility, mythical beasts, and more than one mythical beast fruit. The mythical beasts that are rarer than the natural ones appear in Kaido's hands. Apart from the unknown treasure in Rock's hands, he can't think of where to find so many mythical beasts. This has nothing to do with you, Kangodisphorus. The swordsman can send out flying slashes, and he can also send out columnistic energy. Kaido didn't want to explain anything to Wang Zhi at all. He thought it was better that only a few people knew about Arceus' ability. If too many people knew it, it would attract unnecessary peeping. Rock's treasure happened to be a good reason. Those old monsters who could threaten him could use this reason to perfunctorily pass. It really has nothing to do with me. After all, the fruit has been eaten by you. But this is under the lake. I don't know what John did, but I guess it's all water. You choose to fight me at this time. When the water rises, do you want to be drowned? People with special abilities can't swim. After 5 years, Kaido's strength seems to have changed qualitatively, which is beyond his imagination. He doesn't want to entangle with Kaido in such a place. At least he has to go outside first, so that he and Silver Axe can join forces. Thinking of this, he suddenly found that Silver Axe was silent. Although John's counterattack had caused him serious injuries, he should not die. At this time, a strong sense of sleepiness came over Wang Zhi, and he felt that his eyelids were a little heavy. When he looked again, the surrounding environment had become extremely dim, as if it was shrouded in a dark space. Dark hole, depending on the version, enemies within the range will fall into a dozing or sleeping state. It was originally Darkray's exclusive skill, but Arceus, who found the Slate of Evil Face, can also use this skill. Sleep and dozing are 2 different states. Sleeping will make you completely drowsy, while dozing is just an occasional deep sleep. Silver Axe has entered a sleeping state due to his injury and inability to resist, while Wang Zhi is just in a dozing state due to his good condition. However, in this state, he was hit hard by Kaido. This was not a one-on-one fight, but a team fight. Kaido, who has not yet grown to his peak, would not be stupid enough to fight the opponent one-on-one. Arceus pulled the entire underground space into the influence range of the dark hole. Under his control, his own people would certainly not be affected. Wang Zhi naturally realized that Arceus was the root of all this. This strange black space was released by the unknown creature. He wanted to deal with Arceus, but Kaido did not give him the opportunity at all. Where do you want to go? Thunder Bagua. Clang. I understand. The inexplicable anger before was also because of that guy, right? You have so many ability users under you. Arceus was also regarded as a user of the mythical beast species by him. Although he was a full-egged beast, there were also ability users who liked to use the beast form. Anger and sleepiness, 2 strange states inexplicably appeared on him. If he couldn't react, he wouldn't be worthy of hanging around in the new world. Kaido didn't say anything, but started a series of attacks. Now he was not proficient enough in sword dance, and Wang Zhi would not give him more than 10 seconds to dance sword dance. While the effect was still there, it was the hard truth to hurry up and deal with him. However, at this time, several points that were originally only leaking water suddenly exploded, and a large amount of seawater began to pour into the cave. Just when Quinn saw the seawater and was shocked, he found that the seawater seemed to be controlled by someone, and completely bypassed them. Kaido remembered correctly that there was indeed a stone tablet in Rock's treasure, and it was also taken away by John. After he obtained the fruit ability, those treasures were hidden in another space in his body by him using the door fruit. This is why Arceus has not sensed the location of the stone tablet. After John died, the ability was lifted, and the treasure fell out of that space, and naturally it was summoned by Arceus. The dark hole covered the entire field, and taking advantage of this gap, he also absorbed his fourth stone tablet, the water drop stone tablet of the water system. In this world dominated by water, the water drop slate is undoubtedly a great enhancement of combat power. After obtaining the water drop slate, he naturally has the power to control water, and due to John's previous behavior, seawater has begun to seep in, and Arceus is just taking advantage of this. Chapter 43 Quinn's luck is always a little off. Have you found what you want? Wang Zhi was suppressed by the surging torrent, and then hit by Kaido. His shoulder armor and the shoulder below were smashed to pieces. The thundering Bagua under the blessing of the sword dance made Kaido's attack far beyond Wang Zhi's endurance. Every time he obtained a new stone tablet, Arceus would have all kinds of strange powers. The Sea of Fire released in the Research Institute, the strange ability to interfere with emotions before, and the control of water now. Kaido has also discovered this. After seeing that the seawater was controlled by Arceus, he knew that Arceus was almost successful. Yeah, this guy actually created a space in his body. No wonder he couldn't find it before. Then it's time to deal with other things. Let's get rid of the people here first. Get rid of? I thought you were going to recruit these people as your subordinates. They are all pirates from the New World. They should be much stronger than the pirates from the Four Season Paradise. Although Kaido said that he wanted to recruit subordinates, the Beast's pirates were still the same basic group during this period. Quinn protested every day and asked to recruit people quickly. However, Kaido rejected them all on the grounds that they were not worthy of consideration. In their opinion, those people's courage was not as good as that of the trainee Olga. Now that John's subordinates were almost all dead, he was not tempted by the remaining Wang Zhi and Silver Axe's men. Well, no, it's good that we know what's going on here. There are too many treasures and we can't take them away at all. It will be too troublesome if the news leaks out. Besides, these people are their confidants. It's not so easy to subdue them. Although it's a pity, we can only talk about it next time. Jin, Quinn, Shaina, prepare to retreat, Kaido said, and once again transformed into a huge blue dragon body, looking at the rock wall above. If I blast open the top, you should be able to control the seawater flowing down, right? Kaido didn't want to be drowned by the water after he dug a channel. Although he had horns, he didn't have the bloodline of a fighting fish. Don't worry, it's just seawater. It's not a whole ocean. But are we going to let them fend for themselves? That makes sense. The vitality of these guys can't be ignored. At this time, Shaina and the others had already gotten rid of their opponents. Animal type ability users had already defeated some already exhausted opponents in terms of physical strength. The biggest thunder, the seawater pouring in from outside combined with the lightning released by Kaido, and the entire underground cave was filled with lightning. The armor on Wang Zhi and Yunax was originally a protective gear to increase their defense, but it became a burden in this environment. Especially Yunax, who was already seriously injured, had just been submerged by the sea current. Under the influence of Kaido's lightning, he was completely integrated with the armor. It would probably be difficult to take it off. Stop, brother Kaido. After Kaido's thunder ended, the enemies in the cave generally had no ability to resist, but incidentally, they also had an innocent victim beside them, Quinn. The seawater that poured in later was indeed controlled by Arceus, but not before. Shaina and Jin could rely on the power of controlling fire to evaporate the moisture on their bodies and stay dry, but Quinn did not have this ability, so the braid behind his head was wet. Although they had just retreated under Kaido's body and were not in the main range of lightning attack, Quinn was still affected. The resistance provided by the suborganed animal system made him fine, but he also became the one who was most seriously injured in this operation, from the accidental injury of his teammates. I think you are much more pleasing to the eye this way. Shaina squatted beside Quinn and poked the blackened Quinn, as if to see if he was intact. You woman, I said that it was not my decision. Don't put it all on me. I also know a few members of MASD. Otherwise, I will tell you their location and you can go and settle accounts with them. Quinn needs to solve this problem. In his opinion, diverting the conflict is the best way. Since Shaina hates the people in the institute so much, let her find trouble with other people. For example, Vinsmoke Judge. He has been unhappy with that guy for a long time. But at this time, another voice sounded. You bastards. In the seawater, filled with electric currents, Wang Zhi stood up with a sword in one hand. His long beard had turned into a fried octopus. His broken shoulder armor and bleeding face made him look very miserable. After being blessed by the sword dance, Kaido hit him on the head with 2 sticks in a row. He was already very tenacious for not dying. You really have a tenacious vitality, bastard senior, but I still trouble you to die here. Kaido likes to recruit powerful combat forces, but not everyone is welcome. Everyone on Rock's ship has their own ambitions, and these people will not be willing to be inferior to others. So he has no interest in Wang Zhi. You are just an apprentice, kid. Don't think you can do whatever you want with powerful abilities. Broken Tooth attack. The giant sword was wrapped with domineering aura, and the sword tip cut through the surrounding seawater. The entire underground cave was affected by Wang Zhi's attack. But in terms of haki, you are still no match for me. Rising Dragon Flame Bagua. The dragon head burning with flames, and wrapped in stronger haki crashed into Wang Zhi. Wang Zhi's last attack failed to stop Kaido, but sank into the rising seawater in a violent explosion. He agreed with Wang Zhi's last words. He never relaxed in the practice of haki. Although this thing requires effort, talent is equally important. Some people may be able to reach a level that others cannot achieve in their lifetime in a few hours. Be prepared to rush out. Wait, brother Kaido, so many treasures will be wasted if the seawater rushes in. Looking at the mountains of treasures, Quinn was a little reluctant to give up. He didn't know how expensive firewood and rice were until he ran the household. As the current part-time financial manager of the Beast's Pirates, his private treasury had long been exhausted. No matter which aspect, he urgently needed to replenish assets. It's just a treasure. Let's leave it here for now. We can take it later. For now, just take the valuable ones. They didn't have John's spatial power. They were the only ones who knew the location of the treasures here. This place was simply a natural treasure house. These people were here to look for treasures. They brought a lot of sturdy bags with them. Quinn carried 2 large bags of treasures and prepared to evacuate. Then Arceus blasted the rock layer above with a destructive death ray. Under the influence of gravity, the water flow poured into the cave below. Chapter 44. A braver person appears. Treasures, stone tablets, plus Kaido also settled some of the old grudges. This operation can be said to be a great harvest. Under the power of the water drop stone tablet, a channel was separated in the middle of the influx of water, and Kaido rolled up the flame cloud and took everyone away from here. With his ability, he could also take away a lot of treasures, but a giant dragon flying in the sky with treasures was too eye-catching, so he didn't do it. Is it dawn? It seems that we spent a lot of time. The people who returned to the ground looked at the rising sun. It was midnight when they went down, and now the sun has covered the sky again. After all, they are pirates from the new world. Our strength is still not enough. Jin looked at the scars on his shoulders and was still a little dissatisfied. Such strength is not enough. A pirate can cause such damage to him. If it's just like this, he is not worthy of talking about revenge. Although it doesn't look like a serious injury, it is the result of the powerful recovery power generated by the combination of the 3 abilities of the animal system, the Lunaria tribe, and the Pokemon. Shaina is fine. The opponent is random. The ones she met are much weaker and can't hurt her at all. The last 2 CP0 members we met were quite strong, but when they just started fighting, Arceus found his stone slab and used the sea current to deal with them. The two men didn't have a strong body like Wang Zhi, and they also became part of the treasure cave under the dual effects of the sea current and lightning. That's enough, you two. I'm the most seriously injured. Okay. But you were injured by yourself. You're really a drag. This time it wasn't Shaina. Under Quinn's policy of selling teammates, Shaina decided not to whip him for the time being. However, this trick worked on Shaina, but not on Jin, so he was backstabbed again. Brother Kaido, Lord Arceus, can you consider your own people next time? Quinn, lying on the flame cloud, complained weakly. This world was a little unfriendly to him. Why was he the only one who was electrocuted? Arceus didn't say anything. It was Kaido who was electrocuting, not him, but Kaido's thinking was obviously different from Quinn's. Ugh, Quinn, you are still too weak. If you notice the situation on your body and use haki to block the current in advance, you will not be affected. I will train you well after sailing. You can practice with Jin and others. No need, brother Kaido. Kaido's training is a real training. Being beaten can be said to be a necessary training process for haki. Even those haki who awaken themselves cannot do without the process of being beaten and the subsequent training. Kaido's training is indeed beneficial for practice, but it hurts. Don't be polite, you are my crew member. Kaido will not change his decision easily, so Quinn was also pulled into the haki crash course. Quinn lay on the flame cloud with despair, looking at the lake and thinking about life. The lake caused a large amount of water to flow in due to the gap below, forming a huge whirlpool on the lake. John's awakened ability destroyed the surrounding terrain, causing the surrounding seawater to continuously pour in here, but the water level did not drop. Unless some fishman runs to dig underground, no one can find the secret below. After all the insiders are either on Kaido's flame cloud or below. John's previous behavior caused a small earthquake and tsunami, but the refugee ships were tied to the ground and were not affected. But now the situation has changed, and it may take longer for the tide to retreat. At this time, Quinn seemed to see something, rubbed his eyes, and took out a telescope. Hey, look over there. Is that the little devil's basilisk lizard? In Quinn's sight, a green lizard was running on the sea, and there was a hole in its belly. As it ran, blood kept dripping on the water. It seemed that Kaido's figure was seen in the sky, and he kept drawing here. This is the strangest thing. Usually, Elizabeth will try to stay next to Arceus, and most of the time she is inseparable from Olga. Before they took action, they arranged Olga and Arcee to stay in the hotel. The terrain there was not affected by the previous small-scale tsunami. It was not right for them to be injured here. Jin jumped down from the flame cloud and returned to the flame cloud with the injured Elizabeth. Although Elizabeth could understand what they said, only Arceus could understand what Elizabeth was saying. Don't move, you guy. I have never treated a lizard before. Bear the pain. You will die if you don't sew this wound. Quinn was forced to act as a veterinarian. It's not that he has never treated wild beasts, but he has never treated the basilisk lizard, a race that has long been extinct in the outside world. But it was not crying out in pain, but asking for help. It said that Olga was taken away by someone, and Athie is now in the hotel. His life or death is unknown. Just before the moon disappeared, and the sun was about to rise. It also said that it had memorized the smell of that person, and asked us to hurry and rescue Olga. Human traffickers? They dare to kidnap people in the central hotel of the Kingdom of Natho. Aren't they afraid of becoming the public enemy of the Grey World? The Kingdom of Natho allows all kinds of grey transactions, but any behavior that endangers the safety of guests is absolutely not allowed in the central hotel. This is one of the reasons why it can become a grey transaction center. Quinn, go back and treat Athie first, and then sail to the place we agreed on. Really, the rare good mood is gone. Kaido's originally upturned mouth corners completely collapsed. His subordinates can fail, make mistakes, and it's okay to have a little personality, but the trainee he liked was actually kidnapped. This is a huge insult to him. Shaina, you should go with Quinn and try to save Athie. Arceus then asked Shaina to go with him. He still remembered the possibility that Quinn mentioned. Athie, a top material scientist, was not that easy to find. Due to the previous low tide and the John fruit, the surrounding seawater was pouring into the central area. It was impossible to sail away from here before dawn. Even if the person who took Alga away went out to sea, he would not have gone far. Kaido wanted to let him know that not everyone can touch him casually. Chapter 45 Alga's Anger. At the central hotel of the Kingdom of Natho, a big hole was blasted out of the wall of Kaido's room, and there was Athi lying on the ground next to him. As Elizabeth said, there was also a bloody hole on Athi's chest, and a huge scar similar to a slash on his abdomen. He was surrounded by the hotel's security personnel and doctors. Hemostatic forceps. Bandages. Where is the blood bag? He has S-type blood, why hasn't it been delivered yet? No one is allowed to die in the hotel. This is the order of His Majesty. Hurry. Several doctors were busy dealing with Atha's wounds. Originally, the hotel staff's focus was on the sudden tsunami. The importance of this central hotel in the Kingdom of Natho is second only to the palace. In order to allow people who come here to trade to live in peace, the Kingdom of Natho has invested a lot of energy here. Although the price of staying is not low, after checking in, all consumption in the hotel is free, and it also has many auxiliary functions such as entertainment, identification, and medical treatment. After the incident in Kaido's room, the hotel security quickly surrounded the place, but they saw nothing, except Athi, who was seriously injured, and fell to the ground, and the broken window. Then they launched emergency medical treatment for Athi, and the hotel security personnel also began martial law. If it was not handled properly, this matter would be a credibility crisis for the Kingdom of Natho. So when Quinn and Shaina returned here, Athi's injuries had been simply treated. When they saw Shaina's house key, the hotel records immediately knew that they knew each other, so they took them to Athi. Guest, this is an accident. The Kingdom Army is arresting the murderer in the hotel. We will come up with a result that will satisfy you. How is he? Shaina didn't care about what this person said. Arceus and Kaido went to solve the matter. If he could still run away, it would be really weird. Arceus's request was for Quinn to rescue Athi. She was more concerned about Atha's condition now. After our rescue, the injured is not in danger of life for the time being. The main wounds are the puncture wound in the chest, the knife wound in the abdomen, and the impact of the head when falling, and the problem of heavy blood loss. Fortunately, he is fat, and the fat in the chest and abdomen protects the internal organs in the body, but you still have to be careful of infection. Hey, guest, please don't move around, he is still in danger. Seeing Quinn walk to Arceus' side and take out an unknown syringe, the doctor of this hotel was shocked. It was not easy to save the person. If something else happened, it would be a big trouble. Don't worry about the rest. The emergency treatment is not bad. Next, it's up to me. Bring me more blood of the same blood type as him. He still needs blood transfusions. Are you a doctor, guest? That's no problem, but can you please cancel the room? We will refund all the fees this time. It is best for Arceus' companions to have doctors. As long as they leave voluntarily, the rest has nothing to do with them. Then they took the unconscious Arceus away and came to the boat that Quinn had bought earlier. The fee had been paid and they could open the dock and sail away. But when Quinn settled Arceus, he seemed a little proud. Look, I told you that being fat is good. If he wasn't fat, he would be in danger this time. You said before that you are all muscle. Can he be saved? Are you kidding? This kind of injury is nothing to me. Even if he was cut into 2 pieces, as long as he has a breath left, I can save him. Then he injected the medicine he made into Arceus' body. The doctors here are pretty good. Arceus is fine. Go and lower the sail. I can't operate this boat alone. Quinn and Shaina steered the new boat towards the previously agreed place. At the edge of the island, Flet was planning to leave the island with Olga. He didn't know what happened to the CP0s, but this matter had nothing to do with him. What he was concerned about was Olga's matter about alchemy. He thought it was easy to take her child away, but when he took action, he found out that he was wrong. Olga was very different from ordinary children. After being trained by Kaido for several months, her physical fitness had greatly improved. This made his abduction method completely fail, and was also discovered by Arceus. Arceus, who neglected exercise, was naturally not a match for him. A CP9. He was knocked to the ground by him in just 2 moves. The same was true for the lizard monster that tried to sneak attack him in the corner. But he knew that this behavior was also a taboo of the Kingdom of Natjo. I'm afraid the kingdom is now hunting him. It would be easy for him to solve this matter with his identity as CP9, but he didn't want to expose his identity as CP9. As long as the kingdom of Natjo reported this matter, Alga's identity would definitely not be concealed, and his idea of monopolizing this achievement would be completely lost. So he had to knock Alga unconscious and quietly leave the kingdom of Natjo. As long as he returned to Mirajoa and sent the person up, his achievements would be enough. But first he had to confirm one thing, that is, what is the specific connection between this kid and alchemy? If he told the celestial dragons that he had found the news, but in the end, found out that the news was false, he could not bear the crime of teasing the celestial dragons. In the safe house he prepared in advance, Flet released Alga in the bag and woke her up. But as soon as she woke up, she grabbed Flet's face. "You bastard. You killed Dad and Elizabeth. I won't let you go. I want to kill you. I must kill you." One is the father who just opened his heart after 100 years of absence, and the other is Elizabeth who has been with her for more than 100 years. When she saw the two of them fall in front of her one after another, her heart was desperate. Now he still wants to know other news from her. She can only say that Flet is dreaming. "Dad, that guy is actually your dad." The overweight Arceus and Alga had nothing in common except their hair color, so he didn't notice it at all and just thought he was a passerby. If he had known that the man might be related to alchemy, he would not have taken action. However, this emotion did not show in his expression. Instead he looked at Olga with a smile. Chapter 46. How dare you touch my trainee? Please read on. "I didn't kill them. We were just playing a game. Uncle didn't use any weapons. How could anyone break through a door with his hands? Don't you think so? This is what your uncle and your father have agreed on. I will take you away, and then they will come looking for you. As long as they can't find you, we win." Unlike the overweight Arceus, Olga, who only lives on fruits, is somewhat malnourished. In addition, girls grow faster than boys when they are young, so Fold mistook her for a 5 or 6-year-old child. In his opinion, such a child is easy to fool. He just thought that the other party was related to alchemy, and he didn't think that she was the daughter of the pure gold maker, let alone that she was a little girl who had lived for more than 100 years. As for using such means just because of suspicion, and not caring about the lives of others, such things are not strange to the members of CP9. As long as they can complete the mission, the life and death of ordinary people will not be taken to heart by them. However, Alga smiled disdainfully at Flet's words. If she were a real kid, she would have been fooled by him, but she was different. Not to mention punching through a door panel with her hands, even crushing a stone with her bare hands, was not a strange thing. After several months of correction by Shaina, she had corrected her habit of speaking her mind, and just stared at Flit fiercely. "You? A good person?" "Yes, Uncle is a good person. I work for the world government. How can I be a bad person if I work there? Only the pirates on the sea are bad people." There is nothing wrong with this sentence itself. Except for those children born in pirate families. For ordinary people, pirates are the bad people. It's just that it's strange for Flit to say this, and Arceus also told Alga not to tell anyone about alchemy and pure gold, whether it's pirates, the navy or the world government. At present, the people of the beasts are pretty good to them. He dare not gamble with the possible future. He knows very well how tempting pure gold is, and he himself has some doubts about the world government. As for Shaina, she has an unresolvable hatred with the world government. Under the influence of her and Arceus, Alga has no trust in the people of the world government. Not to mention that she saw what Flet did. She is not a fool. Arceus' tone when he fell to the ground and Elizabeth's screams did not seem to be fake. Bah. If you are a good person, there will be no pirates on the sea. Don't be so sure. Uncle is also from Alchemy Island. If you don't believe me, look at this. Now you believe it. He pointed to the pattern on Alga's skirt and read out the meaning of the text. He wanted to gain Alga's trust in this way. However, he didn't know that alchemy had been in the belly of the lanternfish for more than 100 years. There were no other living people on the island. His behavior made Olga believe that this was the person who coveted pure gold in Arceus' mouth. But her eyes turned, and she had a new idea. "Uncle, are you really from alchemy? Are you just joking with Dad and the others?" "Of course, I never lie. If I lie, I will swallow 1,000 needles and be burned by fire. But I left alchemy a long time ago. You were not born yet. When I went back, everyone was gone. Can you tell uncle where everyone went? Okay, but this is a secret. I can only tell you quietly. Hearing this, Flet put his ear close to Olga. Of course, it would be more meritorious to bring pure gold back directly than to bring news to the celestial dragons. But the next moment, Olga bit his ear. It hurts. Olga covered her teeth and fell to the side. She felt like she bit on an iron block, and even one of her teeth was broken. You are really naughty, little brat, but it doesn't matter. You are indeed related to alchemy. Seeing that he couldn't fool him, Flet also put away his smile. Olga's reaction was much worse than his. As for why Olga felt toothache, 6 styles, iron block. It is a basic requirement for CP9's full members to master the 6 styles. Although the skill of iron block is basically bad luck to anyone who uses it, except the founder himself. No one who chooses to use iron block to block the attack has a good ending. But facing a child is not a failure. If she didn't use so much force, she wouldn't break a tooth directly. Ordinary children would not have such vigilance and be so difficult to fool. Even if she has nothing to do with alchemy, she must have a lot of secrets. I didn't mean to be too unkind, but since you don't know what's good for you, don't blame me for using some tricks. It is a compulsory course for them to extract information from the enemy. Even adult men may not be able to withstand those tricks. He believes that within a few minutes, he can make Olga speak. But before he could do anything, there was a loud noise from above the safe house, and a huge blue claw broke through the wall and pressed him down directly. What do you want to do to my trainee? He's just a running dog of the world government. A dog should know his position. Then Elizabeth slid down Kaido's arm. The wound that was temporarily sutured was still bleeding, but it still rubbed against Olga. Elizabeth, you're still alive. If you don't let go, it will really die. Arceus, who also walked down from the hole, said to Olga. She was almost hanging on Elizabeth, and if she was not careful, the line would be broken. Sacred beast. Captain Kaido, how did you find me? Olga let go of Elizabeth after hearing this. This was the first time she called Kaido the captain. At this moment, she suddenly felt that there was nothing wrong with the identity of a pirate. It was Elizabeth who brought us here. If it weren't for it, we wouldn't have been so fast. Compared to Olga's awakening, Flet's head was buzzing. Why was Kaido here? The purpose of this kind of person appearing here should be John's treasure. Kaido, why are you here? Huh? Didn't you hear the brat's call? I'm her captain. How dare you take away the trainee I like? Who do you think you are? Kaido's dragon claws grabbed Flet in front of him, and then a fierce flame ignited on his claws. Under the double damage of strange power and flames, Flet screamed. Facing ordinary pirates, he could still show off his power, but facing a monster like Kaido, he had no right to resist. Then, with only one breath left, he was thrown back in front of Olga by Kaido. Kill him, brat, let me see if you are prepared today. Chapter 47 Target, New World. Kaido's goal is not to create an adventure team that plays house. The life of a pirate is cruel, and fighting is just the most basic point. Before Olga had not made up her mind, Kaido was just exercising her body, but when she shouted the word captain, it meant that everything was different. Recognizing the identity of a pirate, you must have the awareness of becoming a pirate. If she doesn't dare, nothing will happen, but she will get more care from teacher Kaido in the future, until she can adapt to this cruel pirate society. However, I don't know where the antique knife on Olga's body has been thrown. Although he is a child, Flet did not relax too much, and cleared the deadly weapon on the other party. Flet was made unable to resist by Kaido, but it was still too difficult for Olga to kill him with his bare hands. No weapons? Weapons? Kid, there is no time to find weapons on the battlefield. Stones, wooden boards, these external objects are not to mention. Teeth, nails, these will be your weapons. Even if you bite them, you can't show mercy to the enemy, otherwise you will die. However, there are broken objects everywhere here, so there is no need to be so primitive. Olga pulled out a broken table leg from the side and swung it at Flet's head. This also made Flet suffer for quite a while. If it was Kaido, it would be easy to kill him, but it was different for Olga. Although Kaido beat him seriously, his physical strength is there, and the body trained by practicing the 6 styles has a very tenacious vitality. Alga's attack can't even make him lose consciousness in an instant, let alone kill him. The hammer on his head became a torture. Kaido almost crushed all the bones in his body, so now he can only watch the wooden stick in Alga's hand hit him one after another, like being tortured, until the table legs in Alga's hands were broken. Flet's life was declared over. Too weak. It seems that you still need a lot of time to grow up, but sticks are not suitable for you. You have no talent in this area. Kaido's proficiency in stick type weapons is full. From the state of Alga swinging the stick, it can be seen that she is not suitable for this kind of weapon at all. Everything is settled. Kaido, who has transformed into a blue dragon, takes everyone to the agreed location. Compared with the previous patrol ship, this ship is much larger. This is a steam-powered ship, which saves manpower than traditional sailing ships. Dad, you are okay too? Great. It hurts. It hurts so much. Alga, go down first. He was injured more seriously than Elizabeth, and the self-healing ability of humans is much worse than that of basilisk lizards. He is not an animal type ability user, and it is good enough to be able to walk at this time. Many things have come to an end. Arceus has temporarily lost the news about the new stone tablet. The world is very big. From his current perception range, it is almost impossible to search for the stone tablet aimlessly. According to the known information, the world government may have it, but as the actual ruler of the sea, the Grand Line, the Red Earth continent, the 4 seas, the huge scope makes it impossible to start. Shaina and Jin can only roughly estimate where the island, where the stone tablet is lost, is based on the conversation of the tribe members. There is still no news, so the focus is temporarily on the searcher mentioned by Quinn. I have a general understanding of the production process. Some details still need to be tested. It is impossible to rely on me alone, and the simple equipment on the ship is not enough. At least a research institute is needed. He needs more equipment. Although he has a lot of things that he DIY'd with his bare hands, it does not mean that he can replace the machine with his bare hands. Whether it is experimentation or anything else, more manpower is needed. Kaido's previous actions were on the way to find the stone tablet, and next he needs to turn to expanding territory and manpower. Kaido does not plan to stay in paradise for a long time. His goal is the new world. Silver Axe, Wang Zhi, John, these are all big pirates with fixed territories in the new world. Now their deaths mean that a large number of areas have been vacant. Pirates can be divided into 2 types. One is the pirates who rob and loot everywhere. Such pirates are also the level of small fish in the pirate group. The big pirates in the new world are no longer pirates in the ordinary sense. They are more like separatist warlords. In addition to their own strong strength and cadres directly under the pirate group, they also have many pirate groups under their jurisdiction, with tens of thousands of troops, dominating a wide range of territorial waters. At this point, looting is already the least efficient means. They use tribute as a basis to maintain the operation of the big pirate group. Some businesses in their territorial waters need to pay taxes. As outside the jurisdiction of the world government, fists have become the only rule here. From serious work such as cargo trade, harbor berthing, catering industry, and entertainment industry, to underground places such as casinos, bodyguard work for all facilities, and weapons smuggling, black, white, gray, and all kinds of industries are involved in them. All economic activities in the territorial waters are closely related to the actual controllers here. Even if there is nothing else, the cost of hanging the flag alone is extremely high, and it takes hundreds of millions of baileys to exchange for this flag. If you don't have enough self-protection ability, borrowing a flag is the best way. However, this cost is generally worth it. In the chaotic new world, new pirates enter here every year, every day, and even every moment. Compared with the pirates who have been in the new world for a while, the residents of the new world are more afraid of these newcomers. These people who don't know what a strong man is often behave irrationally. However, not all pirates are rookies. There are also many pirates who join a big pirate to seek shelter after entering the new world. Kaido is not a newcomer, and naturally he is not like those pirates who have just set out to sea, and he plans to go step by step Taking over John's original territory is the best idea now. It is a better choice to occupy this unowned land and develop troops than to compete with those pirates in the New World for territory. This is a sea chart. The territories of John and the other 3 are not adjacent. We can only occupy one piece first under the current circumstances. Let's take John's piece. If I remember correctly, that island seems to be called the Industrial Island. Looking at the map that Kaido took out, Quinn put forward his own suggestions. Chapter 48, 1000 Faces of Evasion. This is the advantage of the new ship that Quinn has chosen. It has a steam engine and an outer wheel dual power. As long as the furnace pressure and direction are controlled, it can enter a short-term unmanned state. It is no secret who the territory of the New World belongs to. This can almost be said to be a well-known thing. It is easy to find the distribution map of their forces in the underground world. This is even more true in the kingdom of Nadjo, known as the Grey Kingdom. Intelligence personnel in the underground world can sometimes even receive news before the world government. It is even easier to figure out the territory of the great pirates. Compared with the 4 Emperors era many years later, the current situation in the New World is completely different. 5 years ago, the Rocks Pirates were undoubtedly the strongest force. And today, after the disappearance of the Rocks Pirates, the captain of the Flying Pirates, the admiral of the Golden Lion Pirate Fleet, the Flying Pirates Golden Lion Shiki, controls the largest group of forces in the New World. The ability of the floating fruit gives the Golden Lion's fleet a huge advantage in naval battles, but he is only the largest in scale. In terms of strength, he is a little worse than Whitebeard. At this time, the captains under him have not grown up, but Whitebeard was not troubled by injuries. The Whitebeard pirates were also a top force in the New World. After that, there were the Roger pirates, who had no fixed territory and sailed around looking for the final destination. These 3 groups can be said to be the 3 strongest pirates in the New World. Charlotte Linlin, John, Silver Axe and other remnants of Rocks together constituted the second echelon of the New World. Now there is such a big power gap. When the news spreads, countless pirates will rush in like sharks smelling blood. But the location where John and his friends died may take a lot of time for the news to ferment. This is Kaido's chance. Then let's go here. But there is one more thing to do before we set off. Kaido looked at the sail on the mast. Although this ship is a steamship, it still retains 2 main masts and sails. Now it is blank, and there is no flag belonging to Kaido. Pirates have always attached great importance to their flags. Destroying the flag means declaring war, and pirates also rely on flags to indicate their territory. The small boats and patrol boats of the Navy were fine, but this ship was a true beast ship, and a missing flag also needed to be painted. Then, a new question arose. Are any of you good at painting? Kaido had been fighting in the Kingdom Army when he was 10 years old. Although the Kingdom Army at that time taught people to read, painting was all about talent, and it was a bit difficult for him to draw a regular pirate flag. Arceus was also not good at this kind of thing. After the 4 stone tablets, his overall strength had been greatly improved, not just using attribute skills alone. After absorbing the 4 stone tablets, the power of the 1000 universe arms was also completely activated. He could manipulate a single element, such as water or fire, through the power of the stone tablets. Invisible water can replace his arms in his hands, and it is much more convenient than arms. He is not a tutor dog. Some things cannot be drawn just by thinking of them, otherwise there would not be so many crazy parties in the world. As for Shaina and Jin, from birth to now, the things they have learned have only one purpose: survival. So almost all the people on this ship are drawing black holes. They had seen Alga's graffiti skills, so there was no need to ask. As for Athi, it was too difficult for him to draw the pirate flag. So in the end, the matter fell on Quinn again. Recruit people. Boss Kaido, we need to recruit people. Even if they are cannon fodder, at least let them do odd jobs. Quinn, holding a paint bucket, made his own accusation. Although Kaido has always said that he wants to expand his forces, the people he has met during this period are either too weak or unsuitable, so that Quinn is still the bottom of the ship. Alga and Athi are not good at doing heavy work, and it takes them several hours to do a few minutes of work. Under Kaido's sketch instructions, a demon horned skull appeared on their flag. The ship continued to sail towards the New World. Kaido and Quinn began to count the treasures. The things John kept close to him were real treasures. In addition to the handicrafts that looked priceless, there were also several boxes. This thing seems to be the necklace lost by the celestial dragons back then. I remember that it was a big deal. Quinn held up a magnifying glass to observe the object in his hand, and also remembered the bloody incident a few years ago. It's not surprising. There are more than one celestial dragons who fell into Rock's hands. It seems that they couldn't get everything back from rocks. John is still the same, specializing in collecting these valuable things. Kaido was not very interested in the necklace and turned to open another box. This time his expression was much happier, and a devil fruit was lying in it. Quinn, where is your illustration? See what kind of fruit this is. This one is, it should be the dog fruit, but I don't know what kind it is. Brother Kaido, I just have a rubbing, and the original version doesn't record all the types. There is only half a page about this fruit. It doesn't matter, it's an animal type. It seems that the kid has his own abilities. At the same time, Arceus is making a new transformation attempt, but the object of the transformation is not Olga, but Elizabeth. After Shaina's ability, Jin's fruit transformation, and Quinn's ability uses indirect mutation, Arceus decided to make the fourth attempt, to transform animals other than humans. There are many strange creatures in this world, and those with sufficient wisdom are equally powerful when they practice, such as the baboons on Hawkeye Island and the kung fu manatees in Alabasta. Elizabeth's intelligence is about the same as that of a human child. Judging from its previous performance of risking its life to pass on the message, it is nothing to transform it. Basilisk lizard, then this one will do. The power of the water drops late enveloped Elizabeth. In a burst of white light, its arms began to extend, its spine began to stand upright, and its skin color changed from green to blue. Well, transforming animals is much easier than transforming humans. Is it because of the different body structure? Transforming animals is even easier than simply transforming devil fruits. If its ability to switch forms is cancelled, the power required will be even less, which gave Arceus some new ideas. However, species like Elizabeth that are intelligent enough and not small in size are rare, and Elizabeth seemed a little confused, constantly switching between the original form and the new form, as if she was feeling the changes in her body, which also shocked Olga beside her. Master Holy Beast, Elizabeth, this is a new power. Now its species should be called Thousand-Faced Chameleon. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 49. People who feel sick when seeing fruit. Elizabeth switches between the two forms. This is the biggest difference between transformed animals and humans. They only have two forms, the original form and the Pokemon form, and there is no mixed beast form. This is probably the reason why the consumption is smaller. In addition, permanent transformation will consume less. On the contrary, the consumption of creation out of thin air is greater. Thousand-Faced Chameleon, Agent Pokemon, Galarian Water System Starter. The water of water Pokemon generally comes from external moisture. Water Pokemon have their own unique water storage organs and conversion methods. In a waterless environment, water molecules in the air can also be converted into water in a special way, including their own physical strength. However, except for individual cases, the living area of water Pokemon will not be far from the water. Storing and using external water is the most common way. It is also a consumption problem. It is much easier to control the existing waves outside than to generate a huge wave by yourself. Reborn particles exist in every corner of this world, so the water Pokemon that appear here, even if they generate their own water, will have a certain restraint on the fruit ability users due to this particle. Arceus is the only exception. He can use the water drop slate to create special pure water without reborn particles. In this water, even the ability users can experience the feeling of swimming again. The eyes of the Thousand Faces Chameleon have a special membrane, which has extremely special abilities, and can help the Thousand Faces Chameleon find the opponent's weaknesses. The back has a special wing membrane, which the Thousand Faces chameleon can use to glide for a short time. There is also a special blade-like structure hidden in the tail behind it. Of course, its most important ability is its inherent sniper talent. In theory, the Thousand Faces chameleon can shoot the water stored in its body from its fingers at a speed of Mach 3, but Elizabeth may not be able to reach this speed, but the high-speed water bullet is enough to kill most people. Even if it is an ability user, if his own ability cannot freeze or evaporate seawater, he will be powerless against Elizabeth. Water-type Pokémon almost have a natural advantage over ability users. However, the most important point is that the intelligence of Pokémonized animals will be significantly improved. The Thousand Faces chameleon is also a kind of high IQ in Pokémon. At this time, Elizabeth can be said to have a completely different development direction. Olga, you can try to teach it to speak in the future. Teach it to speak. In fact, I tried it more than 100 years ago. It was very boring in the belly of the Sea King. Olga certainly tried it, but although Elizabeth could understand her words, she couldn't speak human words at all. It's different now. Team Rocket's Meowth was just an ordinary Meowth at the beginning, but the magic of love forced him to learn to walk upright and speak human language. In theory, as long as there is perseverance, it is not impossible for Pokémon to learn human language. Excluding the mythical beasts and mythical beasts, the special form of Rotom the Ghastly that lived for a long time in Maiden Gorge, can also speak human language, so learning human language is not an isolated case. It may still be learned by teaching more. Looking at the fingers, that are extremely similar to humans in the new form, Elizabeth began to study her own abilities, and tried her sniping ability. However, the effect was not satisfactory. The water bullets it fired were still a long way from the recorded Mach 3 speed, and Elizabeth, a newly born sniper, cannot control this ability well. When it was a basilisk lizard, its hands were more like auxiliary tools, and its main muscle groups grew in the lower body. Now it is a little difficult to control the recoil generated by the sniper, so when shooting at the sea surface, it accidentally missed the target. Gulp. Quinn, who had just walked up the stairs, swallowed his saliva. Looking at the water bullet hitting the handrail next to him, he felt a chill in his crotch. Due to the height problem, the handrail that Elizabeth hit was almost level with Quinn's waist. If it was a little to the left, Quinn could consider making a prosthetic modification for himself. Murder. Do you want to murder? What is this blue lizard? If Arceus hadn't happened to be here, he might have rushed up and grabbed Olga's collar to question this question, but Arceus still made him restrained. Quinn, you're in the way. Kaido pushed Quinn from behind. Water stains could be seen on his shoulders. It seemed that the water bullet hit him again later, but the power now could not hurt his body. Elizabeth, after her transformation, naturally appeared in his eyes. Although her form had changed greatly, he still saw the saddle behind Elizabeth. That lizard? Your ability is really versatile. Kaido found that he still underestimated Arceus' ability. The application of his ability seemed to be wider than he thought. There are still many things to try. Why are you all here? I found something interesting. He threw the fruit in his hand to Olga. Catch it, kid. A white fruit drew an arc in the sky and fell accurately into Olga's hand. Looking at the white cantaloupe in her hand, Olga still didn't understand what was going on. The secret treasure of the sea, the devil fruit. You should know what this is. There are quite a lot of people with abilities on this ship. This is the dog fruit, but we don't know the specific type. You can bet on what ability it is, but don't worry about anything. After all, with Lord Arceus here, at least it is comparable to the ability of the mythical beast species. Quinn explained the types of fruits on the side. Unknown types of devil fruits are indeed a challenge, although the future of the fruit depends on the degree of development. But fruits are divided into strong and weak types. If an ordinary ability can be developed to the extreme, then if you switch to a more powerful ability, the upper limit will naturally be higher. Before Arceus appeared, ordinary animal type abilities had the lowest status among devil fruits. In the early stages, the increase in the body, brought by animalization, was completely incomparable to the superhuman and natural abilities. Only when the body is trained to a certain level can the increase in the animal type ability cause a qualitative change. But with Arceus, things are different. Arceus has no intention of directly transforming it. For unknown animal types, if they are originally mythical beasts, ordinary transformation is not suitable, and they must be well prepared. Why, you seem a little hesitant. Aren't you interested in people with special abilities? No, I just heard that this thing is particularly unpalatable, and I've been eating fruit for more than 100 years. To be honest, I want to vomit when I see fruit now. Chapter 50. Brill takes the blame. But after a moment, she pinched her nose and bit it. Along with her livid face, a fluffy foxtail grew out from behind. Pointed mouth and round ears, short limbs, not very big after fully transformed. It looks a bit cute. Is this an Arctic fox? This world also has the South and North Poles. Which is colder, the South Pole or the North Pole? This is a topic that can make two of the four emperors fight each other. The classification of the dog fruit includes three types: fox, dog, and wolf. It is not surprising that the fox's ability appears. However, this Arctic fox is obviously in winter form, with white fur all over the body. Olga felt a strong nausea at this time. The taste of the devil fruit cannot be described in words, and she hates fruit. Combined with this, she felt that something wanted to pull her stomach out of her stomach. After calming down this feeling, she began to familiarize herself with the ability of the fruit, just like Elizabeth just now. The first thing that appeared was the ability of animalization. The change of the thousand-faced chameleon was not big, but Olga's perspective changed greatly after the animalization. Looking at Kaido on the side, she didn't know where she got the courage to hijack him. Of course, after that, she heard words that made her angry. Although it's a fox, brother Kaido, you should be more resistant to beatings now. Why do you have to be resistant to beatings? After changing from a fox back to a human again, Olga had a bad premonition. She thought that the process of becoming stronger was to train continuously. This process might be very hard, but she was ready. But it was different from being beaten. Kaido's physical training before had reached the extreme of the human body every time, and she had no extra energy to care about other things. She was not afraid of hardship, but she was afraid of pain. The potential stimulated by the injection before made Quinn look sideways. Don't be afraid, you are still a long way from being beaten. At least you have to exercise your physical fitness first, but you can watch how others train first. Quinn put pressure on Olga on the side, but the pressure soon returned to him. Well said, let's start with you then. Kaido's voice reached Quinn's ears, which made Quinn shudder. That, brother Kaido, I want to drive the ship. It's not convenient to train now. Hasn't the course been determined? That's right. The steam pressure is also stable, isn't it? That's right, then don't worry. I will pay attention to the strength and leave you some physical strength to monitor the situation of the ship. Quinn thought that he was the only one in control of the ship now, and Kaido would not let him train now, but the facts told him that he was wrong. Olga still needs physical training, but Quinn is different. Although he is chubby, his physical fitness has been trained almost. The development of the fruit ability depends on himself, and the rest is domineering. And getting beaten is always the most important part of domineering training. Whether it is the defense of the armed color or the perception of the observation color, it can be gradually strengthened in the process of getting beaten. The purpose of training is not to get beaten. As long as Kaido's requirements are met, the observation color can avoid attacks, and the armed color can withstand attacks, then you will not be beaten. But it is obviously impossible to achieve that level directly. After Olga has the ability, Kaido will definitely adjust her training intensity, otherwise it will be a waste of the huge recovery ability of the animal system. However, even if training is not now, the next stage is the ability transformation stage that everyone likes to see. Although Olga ate the fruit first and then carried out the transformation, this time Arceus did not choose the non-directional mutation like Quinn, but used the power of the evil-faced slate. With the slate of this system, directional guidance is better than non-directional mutation. There is an uncertainty in non-directional mutation. That is, the fruit ability may not be the final form, and special form changes such as mega evolution and dynamism can also be developed according to the awakening of the fruit. But the fruit is not a Pokemon, and it is unlikely to achieve evolution by itself. In that case, it will require a second transformation, which is why the abilities he transformed are all in the final form. with the Arctic fox as the main body. Brand new changes are appearing in Alga's body, and an upright demon fox appeared in front of everyone. Demon fox became an Zorok. The white fur of the Arctic fox in winter turned into grey-black in summer, but her blonde hair was retained, and the red mane on Zorok's back turned golden. Compared with the abilities of Flame Chicken, Tropical Dragon, Fossil Pterosaur, and Thousand-Faced Chameleon, Zorok's ability is not so obvious. Even Kaido and Quinn couldn't see what Alga's ability was at this time, until Zorok's figure became blurred, and then turned into another Quinn. Then she slimmed down in front of Quinn, and Alga took out the mirror on her body, and took a look. Uncle Quinn, you don't look so good when you lose weight. Asshole. Change back. You are slandering me. I don't look like this when I lose weight. The power to disguise oneself as someone else with an illusion is a unique ability of the Zorok race. Not only humans, Zorok can also transform into the appearance of other Pokémon, but this requires sufficient understanding. Alga doesn't understand these, so she can only imitate the appearance of others. Then Alga continued to practice her ability. Zorok's ability is not just to transform into another person, it is just one of the most basic abilities. The pirate ship continued to sail. Alga's life was originally very tight. She studied cultural courses and various knowledge with Afi and Quinn. Teacher Kaido personally guided her physical training. Shaina helped her develop her fruit ability and taught Elizabeth to speak. About a month later, the news bird flew in and brought them something they couldn't understand. Death drama prelate, bounty of 500 million Baileys, only live. This guy's dead. How can the bounty still increase? Are those navy people useless? Looking at today's newspaper, Kaido was a little confused. His bounty also increased to 1.5 billion. However, this has nothing to do with the affairs of the Kingdom of Nadjo. It is entirely because he escaped from the research institute. Jin and Shaina are still not rewarded, which is enough to show that the previous things were very secretive. But why did the bounty of Prilt increase, and also gave a special condition that he must be captured alive to claim the reward? He didn't know that all this was thanks to Spandane, or Spandam to be exact. Previously, he had caused a small fire in Spandane's office because he was unhappy. In the fire, Prilt's life card was lost, and with the missing of Flet and CP0, they sent more people to the Kingdom of Nadjo. Spandane's wrong intelligence also led to a series of wrong judgments. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.